All right. Greetings, everyone. I want to greet you with lots of love, peace, and positivity. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another live stream here on my YouTube page. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to tune on in. And we have a topic. It's a long time standing. I think I should have done this quite some time ago. And I've spoken on this topic many, many times in the past. And I think right now is a perfect time to speak on it simply because more and more people are waking up. Um, and I'm going to phrase it this way: more and more Black people or African American folk are waking up to the different individuals in the community. It's an online community for the most part, who are involved in criminal behavior. Committing fraud is a criminal offense. Wire fraud, criminal offense. Individuals who are scamming people, individuals who are misrepresenting themselves. They are saying that they are one thing when they are not. They may say that they're a psychologist, but they're not a psychologist. They may say that they're a doctor, but they're not a doctor. They may say, we can run down a whole list of titles that people use to misrepresent themselves. And the idea is that in misrepresenting themselves, they can gain more access and ultimately gain more confidence. In other words, I should rephrase this, more people will confide in them and believe in them and place their hopes and dreams in them. And then once the confidence has been gained, that is when the con man begins to manipulate and scheme and scam. And this is precisely what Umar Johnson has done, continues to do. And that's the topic for today. Now, today, you guys won't see me all that much today during the live stream because I have a screen share and I have a slide presentation. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be listening to Umar Johnson's own words, and we'll have him tell the truth. One of the things that takes place, I think, quite often, is that people forget too soon, too quickly. They forget information that they may listen to online. And in Umar Johnson's case, he may say one thing like a month ago, and then this month he says something that's totally contradictory. People don't draw the correlation. They forget. He may have said something a year ago, made a promise a year ago, and the promise goes unfulfilled a year later. He gives dates, the dates pass, and he moves the goalpost. In other words, he just changes the date. But people don't realize that an unfulfilled promise is what? An unfulfilled promise is a lie. Now, it'll be one thing if it happens once, maybe twice, and someone apologizes and gives a legitimate reason as to why they didn't fulfill their promise. But when it happens over and over and over and over again over the course of 5 years, now we got a problem. And you know what's deeper than this? It's deep about this is that most of us assume that the scam has been going for 5 years. But what I learned today is that it's been going on for a much longer period of time. And I'll be showing that to you today as well. I want to also, before I get started, I want to thank a sister friend of mine named Anti-Afro Sfingalis, because much of what I'll be talking about here, she's already talked about. I'm just going to give you a different spin on it, a slightly different spin on it. She has been at the forefront in terms of sharing information about Umar Johnson in terms of his fraudulent behavior, whether that is taking titles that do not belong to him, a therapist, a family therapist, a psychologist, a crisis, a crisis resolution expert or a conflict resolution expert, all these grandiose titles, but it's all fraudulent. It's all fraudulent. It's a misrepresentation. And I want to give a shout out to Anti-Afro Sfingali. I'll also post a little bit later on. You guys will see links to her YouTube page. And there's another sister too I want to point out too, and that'll be a little bit later on in the presentation. I want to encourage everyone to go and check out her channel. Yesterday was the first time I actually heard some of her content, and it was spot on, absolutely phenomenal. Okay. I also want to point out before I get into this, I think another reason why this is important is because, at least for me to talk more about it, because I've talked about it in the past. I remember this one lady, hold on a second. This one lady, when I was talking about people, please beware of conscious online internet-based leaders. You have to be very careful because not everyone represents themselves appropriately. And see, some folk, you know, they're willing to go the extra mile, and it's not just giving people money who are misrepresenting themselves and scamming and scheming. It's not just that; it's also the confidence, because there are people who, you know, single mothers as an example, and single mothers, single black women, single black mothers. Johnson targets them specifically. And so these single black mothers, they're being manipulated in such a way on different levels too, by the way. We won't have to get into all that, but in different ways, so as to confide in Umar Johnson and to believe. And see, that it's dangerous because a child can be involved. In other words, you can put your child's life, literally the child's life, in jeopardy. You can put the child's well-being in jeopardy, the child's emotional state in jeopardy. We have to be very careful about these online internet-based leaders. So what I was going to say before was, I remember it was probably about a year ago, and I was doing a series of videos to talk on this topic, and I was bringing up different names. Another person, of course, it's really, he's always dealing within this sphere is Brother Polite. His name is Brother, that's what he called him. And information came out this week, and it's kind of blown up, and it's just, I mean, it just goes to show you the depths to which people will scam and scheme and misrepresent themselves and take in the confidence of people and then con people. And it happens over and over and over again. There's a reason why too these scams work, and part of it is because as more people kind of fall off because they realize the scam, and they realize that they're being taken advantage of, and they're realizing that these individuals are liars, and these individuals are misrepresenting themselves. These individuals are making promises that they do not keep. A lot of people just kind of step back and they no longer deal with these individuals. But what happens is these individuals continue to do what they're doing, and new people come on board. And so they continue to bring in more people. And as they bring in the newer people, they turn those newer people into a revenue stream, and they'll use them and abuse them until such time as those people realize that they're being taken advantage of, they're being lied to. And then those people are kind of pushed to the side, or they stop following. But then in the process, these scammers, these con artists, they pull other people in. Bernie Madoff, as an example, that's precisely what he did with his Ponzi scheme. That's precisely what it is. You have to feed the scam. You have to feed the con. You have to feed the manipulation mechanism. And for Umar Johnson, the manipulation mechanism has been the promise of a school for all black boys. It's an unfulfilled promise, which is a lie. I remember when and this is what I was going to say before, when I was talking on this topic, you'd be amazed at how much, and all I do is I'm telling the truth. It's not like I'm lying. It's that, why would I do that? There's no need for me to do that. And what I'm going to show you all here is I'm going to share with you from Umar Johnson's own words, the lying and the manipulation. But when I talked about this, and I'll tell you from the beginning, when I heard about the school, someone sent me a link on Facebook, and I watched that video where he's on that campus, St. Paul's campus. And when I first saw the video, I said to myself, this is a scam. That was years ago. I knew from the very beginning. Time always tells the truth. But about a year ago, when I was speaking out about these types of things, and it's not just within the conscious community, it's also in the so-called truth movement community with people like Alex Jones and David Icke and Jordan Maxwell. There's a lot of conning and scamming and lying that goes on. And I know a lot of those people. I've met them personally. You'd be surprised. Behind the scenes, I've met a lot of people in the Black conscious community personally. And I know there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes. No one's perfect, but what I'm saying is the misrepresentation of self. And oftentimes it's not about trying to help people. It's about trying to scam people, trying to get money out of people by any means necessary. So when I did this video series about a year ago, there was people who were very upset. I should also mention that the Black conscious community is primarily dominated by Black men. The so-called truth movement community is predominantly dominated by white men. The same rule applies, the same levels of manipulation, the same levels of scamming and scheming and fraudulent behavior, which is criminal behavior. So about a year ago, when I was speaking on this topic, I remember there was so many people that were upset. And there was this one woman, she got very upset, and she said, "You're an evil person, Lenon." Those are some strong words to say to someone who's telling the truth. I'm not the one out here scamming and scheming and telling and collecting upwards to $1 million from mainly poor Black people and making a promise that has gone unfulfilled and taking that money and doing who knows what with it. Now, we're not going to be getting into Umar's personal life with the strippers and the baby mamas and not paying child support. I'm not going to get into that. Maybe in another video in the future, but that's not what we're going to be doing here. We're going to I'll be specifically showing you and letting you hear for yourself if this works. I'll let you hear for yourself the lies, one after another in sequence. And it will be very apparent. It should be very apparent. But I want y'all to think about this. What would compel someone to call someone else an evil person simply because they're telling the truth and they're trying to help to protect people who are being taken advantage of? See, some of y'all who are watching this, you're already upset. But I haven't even done anything. I ain't said nothing. I'm not out here scheming and scamming people. I'm not out here calling women thoughts and maggots, calling black women that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not out here being an absentee father. I'm not out here not supporting my children every single day. I do what I have to do as a husband and father. So I'm the evil person. The reason I'm bringing this up, ladies and gentlemen, is because it is a total contradiction to defend individuals who are scamming and scheming and harming people. And then on the flip side, try to berate or demean or harm those who are telling the truth about these scammers, these abusers, these manipulators. All right, let's get into it. Before I'm going to do a screen share. Let me, people, when I share the screen, if y'all in the chat room, if you can let me know if you guys can see it, I would appreciate that. And I'll give shout outs real quick inside the chat room. Miss Garcia's in the house, and Brian and Keisha. How's it going, Keisha and Brian and Miss Garcia? And I'm going to be asking you guys some questions. What I'll do is I'll do the presentation. And after that, you know, people, if you don't want to stay around or stick around, because it's going to be brief, then you can head on out. But then if there's any questions in the chat room, I can take those questions and we can have a little conversation via the chat room. Okay, sounds like a plan. Lady E's in the house, says hi. Then how's it going, Lady E? Thanks for tuning on. And Brian is in the house, says I'm in China, so it's 11 a.m. here. Okay. Queen of Wisdom says hello, family. Thanks for tuning on in. Queen of Wisdom, PhD. Hegelian says you have my time, Mr. Honor. I hope it isn't just emotional semantics like Tariq used. We need proof. Let's see. Someone says, can we call in? No, I don't have any phone lines available for the live stream. I tried to set that up before, but I'm unable to do it now. Melanie says greetings, and Kat Robinson says greetings, Leonard, and everyone in the chat room. Thanks for tuning on in. And Hegelian says game march. Okay. Okay. So everyone else inside the chat room, thank you for being here. And again, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be playing some audio. That's it. I'm not going to be playing video. Okay. Fair use. I'll make a fair use disclaimer right now. I'm just going to be playing audio. None of it has been edited, except all I've done is taken clips from one interview. I've taken that clip out, and then we're going to play that clip. And I'll take another clip out of him talking, and from another, and it's all in sequence too, you know, like by year. And you guys will see it becomes very clear very quickly, the scamming and the scheming and the manipulation and the moving of the goalpost. All right. All right. Okay, so let's get into this, everyone. Thank y'all for tuning on in. My wife, she's also in the house. She says, glad you are speaking on this topic. Thank you, baby. And see, she knows, her and I, we've talked about a lot of this in private. And there's been people that I've spoken to in private for many, many years about individuals like Umar Johnson. There's people that I care about who have been taken advantage of. They donated and they basically, you know, they've got conned and schemed and scammed out of their money. Upwards to $1 million. That to me, ladies and gentlemen, the last amount that he admitted was $750,000. That's the last that he admitted. Our proposal is probably closer to $1 million. But let's just say, based upon what he admitted, $750,000, that's taking $750,000 out of the Black community that could have been used so that a parent could buy some shoes for their children, or maybe they could buy some gifts for a birthday party, or maybe they can get their mama something to eat, or maybe they can pay some rent, or maybe they can pay that electric bill. Or maybe they can contribute that money to other individuals in the community who actually have built the school or who are running a school and actually need that type of support. And there's a lot of people out there who have actually done something, and they have something that is tangible, not just a promise. Again, an unfulfilled promise is a lie. The critical question I'm going to ask before we get into this, now we're going to get into this, is how many years, how much longer can the lie continue before people before massive amounts of people wake up. Many people have, and many more have waken I think every single day people are waking up to these con artists. But for how long can Umar Johnson continue to extend the date of when the school is going to be open? For how long? And is there a reasonable amount of time where we can finally say, you know what, this is not going to happen. This was a scam. This and let's say it doesn't happen. We can ask the next question: will he refund the money that he basically took from everybody? And if he doesn't, wouldn't that be considered to be stealing? Wouldn't that be like taking some people's money? You look, I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to do this with it. So please, because we need this for our babies. We need this for our boys. You see the scam? For you single mothers, we need this for your. And then when nothing actually materializes, he keeps the money. Or maybe he uses it for something else, like traveling around the world. That's not right, people. That's wrong. It's wrong. Would you not agree? If someone said, look, I promise to do this for you, and I'm going to do this, and I need your support, and you support them, but they don't do what they said that they were going to do, and they don't give you your money back, is that wrong? If you go to the store and you say, okay, look, how much does that cost? Oh, it's $5. Okay, so I'm going to give you this $5, and you promise to give me that. So you give the $5 and they keep it. They don't give you anything. Is that right or is that wrong? Is it a form of stealing? Is it right or is it wrong? These are some questions I want y'all to think about. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a screen share, and I want you guys, and I'm going to say this real quick too, as I get the screen share going up here. I have to again give credit to Anti-Afro Svengali because she has been very courageous in terms of talking about this. I've talked about it here and there in different videos, but to a large degree, I've stayed off of the topic for the most part, simply because I've already said my piece. But I think right now is a critical time because the amount of information that is coming out and continues to come out about people like Umar Johnson, Brother Polite. There's so many different people out there who are just out here scheming and scamming. It seems as if it's coming to a head again, and it tends to do that towards the end of each year. Okay, I talked about that yesterday during the live stream. All right, so I think that this is a good time to get into this topic a little bit deeper. So here is the screen share. Y'all in the chat room, let me know if you can see it. Okay, can y'all see that? Thanks for tuning on in, Keisha. I appreciate it. And Timmy and S.H. Sugarad. Yeah, and someone said it's embezzlement. Yes, it is a form of embezzlement. That's a crime. Mordy says, you have a point, Lenon. Okay, Queen of Wisdom. Thank you so much. Okay, you say you can see it. All right. Okay. So I want to get into this now. And this is just part one, because I think that there's going to be more that I'm going to want to share with you all. And again, I'm just going to basically be going through some screenshots, and then there's some audio that we're going to listen to. I'll stop every once in a while to give a little bit of a commentary. But again, what I'm going to do is share this with you all. And this is coming directly from Umar Johnson. But what I mean by directly, this is stuff that either he's posted or that he's said. Okay. And so all of this is here. I should also mention that there are links. Okay, there are links inside the description for this video to all of what I'm going to be sharing here and much, much more. All right. Okay. So the title of this is Umar Johnson's School Scam, Part 1. All right. Now, the reason why I titled this School Scam is because this notion of him building a school is a scam. And it was from the very beginning. Someone just said Black Madoffs, Bernie Madoffs. Absolutely. Okay. I should also mention, because Anti-Afro Svengali pointed this out a long time ago, and it is so very true, that if Umar Johnson was committing this type of fraud and robbery and scheming and scamming in the white community, he would have been in jail a long time ago. But because he's doing it to Black people, the pressure isn't on him like it should be. But oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's coming. It's coming. Y'all get that point, though, by the way? I'm going to say it again. If he was perpetuating this level of fraud and scamming and scheming in the white community, or in an Asian community, or even in a Latino community, he would have been brought up on charges he would have been in jail a long time ago. But because he's doing it in the Black community, he's able to get away with it. And it's not simply because there aren't Black people who understand the scam and haven't spoken out. It's just that individuals who could bring forth charges against him, and he should be in jail by now. Come on, people. It's not as much of a significant issue for them because he's only impacting, for the most part, Black people. But if he was doing this to any other group of people, he would have been in jail a long time ago, because you can't commit this level of crime amongst other groups of people and not be held accountable. Bernie Madoff, as an example, it's just a higher level in terms of the monetary part of it, but in terms of manipulation, scheming, and scamming, it's the same exact thing. You see, Anti-Afro Svengali brought that up a long time ago. That's such a powerful and salient point. So Umar Johnson school scam, from the beginning, the school was a scam. And the way the scam worked is that you make a promise. I'm going to build this school. Nothing tangible, no plan, no team. Somehow a one-man show who happens to be like a traveling preacher who's traveling all over the world is going to build a school and has no understanding whatsoever about what's going to go into creating a school, to building a school, to buying property, buying real estate, putting together a board of directors, making sure you have proper insurance on the school, making sure that it's up to code. No team, no professionals to help. No one hired in terms of teachers, no staff, no faculty, no cafeteria crew. No one to come around and clean up the bathrooms. Nothing, not one single thing. No books, no internet connection, no land, no building, nothing. And you know, if you guys think about it, here we are all these years later, and most people would say, oh, it's only 4 years. No, the scam's been going on. I'm going to show you that in a moment. My goodness. It's been going on much longer than that. I want you guys to understand that today he is no closer to building a school than he was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is it almost 10 years ago? Well, we'll see in just a moment. No closer. How does that happen? How does that happen? And yes, people in the chat room said that he asked for resumes. He had the nerve to ask for resumes. And he still does that from time to time. What came out of it? Please, he tells people, please send me schools so that I can go look at these schools. What comes out of it? He tells people, look, I'm going to write the first check for FDMG. I'm going to write the first check. Well, what came out of that? This is more recently. He said that. More recently, I think I found a school. I feel real good about this school. The stars are in alignment. I'm paraphrasing. What came out of that? I'm about to put down a deposit. What came out of that? Anybody else on the planet, you do that to any other group of people for an extended period of time, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it may be, and he's in jail. You're in jail if you did that. But he continues to get away with it. It's not going to, the con cannot last forever. And he knows that too. He's getting desperate. He's going over the seas more, and he's trying to peddle the dream now in UK. He peddled it before, but now he's peddling it again in the UK. I'll share that with you in just a moment. Okay, let's get into this. Okay. And I also have 3 pictures here. I think these 3 pictures symbolically, they represent the different characters that he plays. And I'm going to speak on this in just a moment, because oftentimes if you watch these individuals, con artists, they change over time. Right. In other words, they'll adopt one persona for a while in order to tap into a particular demographic, and they'll continue to use that persona in order to tap into that demographic so as to turn that demographic of people into a revenue stream. This makes sense? But oftentimes what happens is there's a point where using that particular persona or that particular caricature, it runs its course. It's no longer as viable. It doesn't have the same gravity as it did in the beginning, because nothing ever really comes out of all the promises go unfulfilled. So what these con artists do is they'll change their identity a bit, maybe slightly, maybe very much significantly, and they take on a different role. Sometimes they change their names. They may adopt an Africanized name or an Arabic. At least I say it that way. I don't know if I should say a Middle Eastern name. I don't know how I should say that. Okay. And then they'll run that particular character or that particular persona for a while to tap into another demographic, and it continues to fuel the scam. It can continue to fuel the con artistry. So I want you all to understand that there has to be a constant flow of individuals into the scam or into the scheme or into the con in order for the con to continue to perpetuate itself over time. And one of the ways that this is done is by these con artists, such as Umar Johnson, changing their identity slightly. They'll change their name. They'll take on different aliases. They'll even dress differently. More and more people are waking up. More and more people are waking up. And here are just three. These are just three examples of what I mean. The one on the left, that is the pseudo-professional. Why do I say that? What can we do in terms of analysis? Why would we say that? The pseudo-intellectual, this is the individual that is more reserved. He's more in line with the doctor title. He presents himself in a suit. He's well manicured to a degree. And even when he talks, when he's in this particular persona, he talks a particular way. This is fascinating stuff too, by the way. He speaks a certain type. He speaks very much differently than, let's say, the individual that you see in the picture there on the right, with the Philly beanie cap on. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to during this live stream. Okay. So on the left, you have the professional. You have the doctor. You have the individual who presents himself as an authority figure, as an expert. Titles such as doctor, titles such as a therapist, a family counselor. These are all titles that he has adopted to. Now, can he say that for the person on the right? Is that the family therapist or the doctor? No. People are asking about the middle pic. Okay, let's go to the middle picture. The middle picture represents the Pan-Africanist. Sort of, kinda, but with a wig on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Why do I say the Pan-Africanist, or, the Afrocentrists, right? As people have termed it, the Afri-centrists in some cases. This is the person that, we're going to go back to Africa, or, we need to organize in Africa, and I'm going to build a school in Africa. And global white supremacy is the greatest problem facing us. And we got to fight these white people and such and such. And so, okay, this is what this is here. Why do I say that? Well, look, he has on the dashiki, which this is another one of his personas. This is International Ifatunde, by the way. By the way, before I proceed, I want in the chat room, if you guys don't mind, if you guys can put in some of the names or the monikers that he has adopted in terms of the different, King Kong consciousness, as it were. Because King Kong consciousness, that's the person on the right. Okay, so in the chat room, can you all help me out? Let's go ahead and post that in there. Some of the titles: King Kong consciousness, International Ifatunde. What else? Big Papa. Big Papa is also associated with the one on the right too, but Big Papa is more of the individual who is out there trying to find women to have sex with. That's Big Papa. Y'all remember Big Papa, Biggie Smalls, and the flamboyance? And you listen to his lyrics, it's all about, look at, I'm great, and all these women want to get with me. And so this is the player archetype. Prince of Pan-Africanism, that's the middle one. Okay, that's that picture there in the middle. What else? The #1 most requested speaker. How does one quantify that? Is that possible to quantify that? These delusions of grandeur. See, the #1 requested speaker, well, that's probably the person on the left, and sometimes the person in the middle. It just depends on what he's talking about. See, the person in the middle, that's the one where he's talking more about the global white supremacy, but the person on the left, that's when he's mainly focusing in on topics such as, the so-called school to prison pipeline in ADHD, right? What else? What else do we have in here? A direct descendant of Frederick Douglass. Okay, that's why he has in the middle. That's why he has on that wig, so as to look like Frederick Douglass. That's a Frederick Douglass like wig. The #1 requested scholar. I'm the most requested. Prince of Pan-Africanism. What else? Anything else y'all want to throw in? Because there's so many different ones that we can pick out. But each one of these personas allow him to gain access to a different demographic of Black people. Direct descendant of Frederick Douglass. Anyone else? Big Papa, yes. Prince of Pan-Africanism, yes. Anyone else? You want to throw anything else in? Okay, I think we got it. Okay. A descendant, yes, absolutely. But there's something else I want to share here, though, too, especially about the middle one, wearing the wig. You know, because Umar Johnson has a habit of talking about Black women and talking about them wearing weave and all this type of thing. We're not going to get too, maybe in a different video we'll talk about this, but I find it fascinating the level of hypocrisy. Because on one hand, he can chastise Black women for wearing weave, which they have a right to do. I mean, who is to tell any woman or any man for that matter how they can wear their hair or how they should wear their hair? And yet here he is donning a wig. But even deeper still, I talked about this yesterday. You guys have to understand something, that symbolically speaking, for many men who talk that kind of talk and kind of demean women who wear weave, and they're always talking about, you know, calling them different derogatory names like hair-hatted hooligans and all this type of thing. These men have issues with their hair. And these are the men that they have, you know, if their hair isn't cut, or let's say if it's not lined up properly, they become very subconscious or self-conscious about it, and they feel very insecure, and they throw a hat on. And the hat is their means of hiding their discomfort, hiding this sense that, okay, I know my hair isn't all lined up and it's not all looking all great, so I'm going to throw this hat on. But guess what? That's their weave. You men out there, that's your, and y'all know what I'm talking about, because there's times you can't get to the barber. Maybe, you know, someone cut you up and they didn't cut you and line you up properly, and okay, I got to put a hat on. Well, that's your weave. That's all it is. So and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to throw on a hat, fine. But if you can do that, and you have a right to do that, and people should respect your right to do that, then we should also, as men, respect a woman's right to put whatever she wants to on or in her hair, whether or not you like it or not, or you agree or disagree. But Umar Johnson has the nerve to demean and disrespect Black women who wear weave. And yet here he is with a wig on. Just pointing out the levels of hypocrisy. But again, this is another one of the personas that he has presented, the descendant of Frederick Douglass, where in point of fact, his own father has already come out, took a DNA test, which revealed the truth that they are not descendants of Frederick Douglass. Yeah, someone also brought up that part of that persona there on the left is to talk about special ed and special education and ADHD and making children's rights, making sure you're standing up for your children and this type of thing. So each one of these are different personas. So you have the one on the left, which is the professional. You have the one in the middle, which is the Pan-Africanist. And each one of these individuals have names associated with them, or they'll have one name or a couple of names. And then on the right, that's where you get into King Kong consciousness. You get into Big Papa. This is the pseudo gangster archetype that has the goons, right? So that's why he's dressed. He has on a cap and it's pulled down, and look at his face, and he's real aggressive. And then this is the video we're in. Umar Johnson, he goes just basically ballistic. He goes crazy as he's insulting another brother named General Seti. But this particular persona taps into another demographic within the African-American community, because there are African-Americans that they will prefer, we're diverse people, they'll prefer this kind of gangster archetype compared to the Pan-Africanist archetype, compared to the professional archetypes, whereas there are other African-Americans that they will prefer the professional archetype here, or the professional persona, instead of the Pan-African persona or the so-called ghetto-centric persona. You understand? So each one of these three pictures, there's many more because there's other examples that we can show. Each one of these pictures represents one of the personas. Well, one of the personas that Umar Johnson uses in order to tap into very specific demographics at specific periods, so as to continue to turn people into a revenue stream. That is what I mean by the school scam. See, the school scam is simply the dream. It's the promise that he has made. And however, through whatever means he can funnel more people into supporting the school scam, even if that means adopting different personalities, he will continue to do that. But the problem is that more and more people have caught on. The scam has kind of been turned upside down. His website got shut down. The GoFundMe got shut down. All of that. So now it's much more difficult for him to be able to gain access to people and have a means for people to send him money consistently as it was in the past. And I would propose that that's one of the reasons why he's broadening out. He's trying to spend more time than other places. He's trying to travel out of the United States more and more, because that represents new demographics, unexplored territories, just like the colonizers did. I'm going to go and try to find more people to conquer and to get them plugged into this school scam. And again, I'm going to say it again, that here we are all these years into the school scam, and he is no closer to making this materialize now than he was when he first began. And how long ago was that too, by the way? And I see someone said, greetings, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Sister Anti-Afro Spengali is in the house. This woman right here, and I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. She is one of the most courageous people that I've ever seen on the internet. You guys hear me when I say that? She is one of the most courageous people that I've seen on this internet. And one of the reasons why I decided to do this video today was because she posted another video today, and she had mentioned some of the links that I'm going to be sharing with you here today. So I said, you know what? Since I've been putting in that type of work for who knows how long, it's been going on for such a long time, and she's done so much to bring justice to this situation. I said, the least I can do is get on here, put together a small presentation, and present it to you all here. So I just want to give my deepest respect and appreciation to Anti-Afro Spengali. Okay, and she knows. She says you already know. Okay, but I'm just saying that for the record here. Let's get into this, people. I should also mention real quick that the picture on the right also represents the individual, that aspect of Umar Johnson that is more ghetto centric. And that is the aspect that listens to the hip hop that's disrespectful towards women. That's the aspect that is looking for the strippers on the side. So I want you guys to be very clear about this. The pictures tell, they tell you, I mean, you can just look from left to right. There's a story that's being told. But that individual on the right, that is the individual that seeks out the women who fit a particular type of archetype. And this is the type of man that we're going to entrust our children to. See, that's even that in and of itself, it's a total paradox. It's a total contradiction. And that's how scams work. People misrepresent themselves. They say that they're one thing. Maybe they say that the person on the right for a while, but they're really the person, or they're the person on the left, but they're really the person on the right. Or maybe they're the person they profess to be the person on the right that got the goons in Philly, and the phone ring. He look at the phone, he put the phone down, the phone stops ringing. And then a little bit later, he picks the phone back up and starts talking on the phone. No, I got this. And then the phone rings. That's the person on the right. And all this goes back to this very critical point that an unfulfilled promise is a lie. If I promise something and I do not fulfill it without any reasonable explanation, then it becomes a lie. And Umar Johnson has continued to lie. In point of fact, he's a habitual liar. And I'm going to give you guys the proof now. How long, by the way, has this scam been going on? And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Links to these, and I have the links to all this inside the description for this video. But the point that, and this is a screenshot here, but one of the things that Umar Johnson has gotten in the habit of doing is purging information off of the internet. Okay, that can be tweets, that can be Facebook posts, that could be videos on Instagram, that could be videos on YouTube, and he's been doing it heavily over the last, I would say, last year and a half. Anti-Afro Spengali has pointed this out for a long time now. So though there's links to all of this inside the description for the videos, some of these videos too, by the way, when you go back and you go click on the next after this, if you want to go look into any of this further, you'll see that it's been deleted. It's been pulled down. But here are the screenshots, and I actually went there today to pull these off of his Facebook page. It may not be there tomorrow. Now, Anti-Svengali, she brought this up on her video today, and I want to encourage people to make sure, and I'll do this again at the end of the video, to go and check out her YouTube page. She has information that goes back a long ways in terms of this scam and the scheming and scamming in Umar Johnson. The other thing too, I just want to make mention that oftentimes the scam artists, they take on aliases. They have all these different names. They have many different names that they use at different periods of time. And this allows them to continue to at least separate themselves from things that they've done in the past. You know, their name is a little bit different now, so it's a little bit more difficult to track them down. But I think at this point, so many people have woken up in terms of Umar Johnson, and enough people know who he is that he really can't get away with it as much as he was able to get away with it from before. But how long has this scam been going on? Because most people say, you know, he's only been trying to build this school for like 4 years. That's what most people say. But actually, it's been a lot longer than that. In fact, here we are with this particular post here, January 6, 2010. Umar Abdullah Johnson, I believe this is from Facebook. Okay, this is January 6, 2010. We're about to be in January of 2019. So this is what? How many? About 9 years ago. And what does it say there, ladies and gentlemen? I'll read it. It says promises. In 2010, to begin laying the groundwork for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Pan-African School for Black Boys, specializing in learning disabilities and disruptive behavior disorders. This will be a private school, and yes, you will pay in order for your son to attend. Grand opening. What does it say there, ladies and gentlemen? I'll wait. Click, clock, tick, tock. You don't stop. The clock is ticking, ladies and gentlemen. Grand opening, September 1st. No, he's saying September 11th. I think that's what he's saying. September 11th, 2013. What did I say before, ladies and gentlemen? An unfulfilled promise is a lie. And look what he says at the first thing he says, promises. Yes, 18 billion. It says 2013. Red spot, it says 2013. Rothy, it says 2013. Artie, 9/11, 2013. Timmy says, oh, shit. I know. Okay, and I just want to reiterate that this is Umar Abdullah Johnson. This is his post. What is this from? January 6, 2010. I'm gonna read it one more again, and I just want to share something with you all. Because Anti from Bengali, she points this out. She's brilliant. She also often points things out. I say, oh wow, I didn't think about that. Promises in 2010 to begin laying the groundwork for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Pan-African School for Black Boys, specializing in learning disabilities and disruptive behavior disorders. That's called special ed, isn't it? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Wouldn't that be special ed? Maybe I'm wrong. And Anti-Svengali, she's a specialist in this area. If I'm wrong, Anti-Svengali, please correct me now inside the chat room, and I'll retract that. People in the chat room saying, ain't no school family. That money is gone. Okay, no one has corrected me. Okay, so I'll assume that it's true. Specializing in learning disabilities and disruptive behavior disorders. And he spent so much time discouraging parents from getting that type of help for their child and getting that resource. It's a resource. He's discouraged and it's so damaging. It's harmful. If the baby needs help, the baby needs help. Get the baby's help. And he's gone out on such an extreme tangent and has done so much damage in these regards to dissuade people and dissuades parents, in particular single black mothers, from getting their sons and their daughters the type of support that they need in terms of special education that can actually benefit them. And even though he's been on this campaign, if you go back to 2010, what he's proposing is that his school is going to specialize in what? Special education. Isn't this fascinating? I have to read some of these comments inside the chat room. I was just going to go straight to the presentation, but that would be a little bit dry. Okay. I just want to read a couple of things to you all here. Red Spot said 2018, and this says 2013, and that's 5 years, right? But in actuality, 2013, we're about to be in 2019. Okay, so it's more than 5 years. I want you guys to be clear about that. And remember, too, that the post was what? January 6, 2010. And we're getting close to January 6, 2019. Y'all see my point? The scam's been going on for a very long time. Let me also share something else, because I want us to be clear about this. And this is something, this gets into something I'm going to share with you guys a little bit later on, that I want you guys, a video that I want you guys to go check out. And I'll do that at the end of this live stream, or at the end of the presentation. And we'll get into the chat room and any questions that you guys may have. And I have to say this because Anti-African Knowledge, you said in here, thank you, brother, but to Umar, I'm just a lesbian YouTube stalker along with other black folks who are gay, LGBTs who's exposed his lies, and she's LOL. And I'm going to tell you that one of the things that when we talk about these types of individuals who are scamming and scheming, when people actually expose them, what they tend to do is they start to make up lies about people who are basically telling the truth. And they try to insult these individuals and try to form this false narrative around these individuals. And one of the things that happens often is people's sexuality is called into question without any evidence or proof whatsoever, as if it really matters anyway. If you're a scam artist, it doesn't matter whether a heterosexual or a homosexual is telling people to try to protect people. Hey, look, this person is a scam artist. It doesn't matter. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't matter. But what Umar Johnson has done, in point of fact, is that once he got word of the work that Anti-Afro-Swengali was doing and continues to do, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What he did was he began to put out false information and claims about her and to call her things like a lesbian, these types of things, knowing that in the African-American community, people have tend to have an adverse or a negative reaction towards individuals who are lesbian or gay. Now, it's a little bit different nowadays, right? Compared to, let's say, if we go back 15, 20 years ago, but that same programming still exists. And so what Umar Johnson often does is he plays that against people. He understands the trigger words that he can use. He can bring up global white supremacy. He can bring up the LGBT. And there's a lot of individuals that have a lot of hatred towards their own brothers and sisters simply because maybe they have a different sexual orientation. And we're supposed to be trying to unify. We're trying to organize, as Dr. Umar Johnson, or let me just say Umar Johnson says. Okay, and some of you don't want to hear that because you have these negative views about people who are homosexual, and I understand all that. I understand all that. We have this programming within us. It's been a long-standing program, but if they are your brother, they're your brother, and if they're your sister, they're your sister. And the point is that Umar Johnson understands how that is a hot button topic within the African American community for a long time. In many cases, in the Black church, it's been a long-standing institution or institutionalized program, as it were. And so Umar Johnson, understanding this dynamic, okay, the way that I can kind of turn people against someone is to question their sexuality. I'm going to make claims that they are homosexual. I'm going to make claims that they are a lesbian. When Tariq Nasheed finally comes out and starts to talk about the scamming and the scheming that Umar Johnson has done, Umar Johnson tries to come back by suggesting that Tariq Nasheed is homosexual. Am I defending the behavior on either side? No, I'm not, because it wasn't a good look either way. But I want you guys to understand the tactics that are being used. And Umar Johnson has a history of doing that type of thing. And he did that to anti-Afro scholars. I remember when it happened, right? Okay. So the post here again is Umar Abdullah Johnson, January 6, 2010. We've already read it. And then at the end there, what does it say? It says, this is chess, not checkers. I think that that's apropos because basically he's playing people. It's a game. Let's go to the next one. This one's January 6, 2010. Here's the next one. This is from August 27, 2014. Okay, so now we're 4 years in to the promise. Remember? Let's go back. Here's the promise. I mean, can you see that? Here's the promise, 2010, January 6, 2010. And now here we are, August 27, 2014. Someone obviously had asked the question, you know, is the school open yet? Because now we're already 4 years in. What does Umar say? What is his response? No, FDMG is not yet open. We need to raise 200 million ASAP as soon as possible. And then he gives a PayPal account. And then he says, I'm currently a principal of a public school. Someone in the chat room just say ex-principal. Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, principal. Let's speed this up too, by the way, because it gets interesting in a moment. So I want you guys to understand timeline wise. What this is referring to is that if we go back to 2010, he initially makes the promise, and now here we are 4 years later. He's been asking for donations. He's been collecting donations. And people started asking questions way back in 2014. We're about to be in 2019, ladies and gentlemen. But this is around what? 4 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago. People started asking questions and he responds with, no, FDMG is not yet open. We need to raise $2 million ASAP. Here's a PayPal. I'm currently a principal of a public school. Now the idea here is because he's a principal, he's been so busy, and that's why the school hasn't been opened yet. Mind you, during this whole time while he's a school principal, he's traveling around, he's lecturing, he's here and there, he's on that side of the states, he's on the other side, he's on the East Coast, he's on the West Coast, he's down south, he's up north. All of this being done, he's collecting money. He's doing radio interviews. He's doing, in some cases, public access interviews. He's doing all of this while functioning as a principal of a public school. So the idea here is, okay, we're 4 years in, but the reason why is because I've been very busy because I'm a principal at a public school. But the other thing is to claim that you're a principal gives validity that you are well qualified to build a school. You see how this works? Just like the other titles, to give validity. Down below there, someone said, which state school are you in? In other words, people started asking questions. Okay, well, if you're a principal, what school are you a principal at? Has anyone ever heard Umar Johnson say, look, I've been a school principal. He's also said he's been a vice principal too, by the way. Have you ever said, look, I've been a principal at such and such school? Why wouldn't you give that information out? Or I was a vice principal at such and such school. Why wouldn't you give that information out? And the reason why is because no, you're not a principal. You've never been a principal of a school. What school is this? And as braggadocious as Umar Johnson is, he would give that information. He would say, look, I was a public school. When he talks about all his degrees, he's very specific. It's like a printout. It's like he's reading it verbatim each time. It's part of the scam. It's part of the scheme. He used to say it all the time, over and over again, but he never, not once do you hear him say, okay, look, I was a principal at such and such school. Why not? Because he wasn't a principal. What does this mean? This means that he's a liar. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's a pathological liar. He lies all the time, people. And when I say lie all the time, he just lies, and you can hear it when he's talking. Look, he's lying right now. He does it all the time. And we're going to look at we're going to listen to some audio in just a moment. Also, furthermore, someone also asked here, how much did we donate already? Please tell us. Why would people have to ask you and beg you and plead with you and with exclamation marks? Please just tell us how much we've donated. Well, there's no accountability here. People don't know. That's part of the scheme, and that's part of the scam. You see, what's the term that people use in the financial world? When an individual is collecting money, or maybe they have a certain amount of money, and they have to have what? Full disclosure. There's a term. I can't think of the term right now, but there should be full disclosure. Okay, this is where the money is going to be going towards. Here's an account in terms of how much money is there. It's in there. If anything's been taken out, here's an account in terms of where that money has gone. Umar Johnson has never done that. And look, this is back in 2014, ladies and gentlemen. So he had already been collecting money for this school back in 2014. People think that it all started with the GoFundMe. No, it wasn't. Was it Indiegogo or GoFundMe? I think it was GoFundMe. Okay, so if I said Indiegogo earlier, I apologize. I think it was GoFundMe. Prior to setting up the GoFundMe, he had already been collecting money through PayPal, but also collecting money from people as he was going out like a traveling preacher and just speaking at many different locations as possible. And he would plug the school. He would always use the school to get people riled up. Look, I need money. I need your money. I need your money. We're doing this for the boys. We got to save these boys. We got to save these boys. We got to save your boys, you single black mothers. So not only was he collecting money in terms of the internet through PayPal, this is prior to the crowdfunding, but he was also collecting money as he was going out to speak. So when we say that he's only been collecting money for 4 years, no, in point of fact, it's much, much longer than that, because I've already showed you. If we go back and we'll just go back to this slide here. This is back in 2010, January 6th, when he first began to talk about it. But do you think he wasn't collecting money from sometime around 2010 in between going up to 2014? Yes, Daco, it's a Ponzi scheme, because you always got to bring in new people. And that's how it worked. Anti-Afro Svengali pointed this out too. One of the problems with the Ponzi scheme was that once that crowdfunding campaign got shut down for fraud, he tried to blame it on everybody else too, by the way. He also suggested that GoFundMe took a substantial amount and just took it and just stole it from him. No, that's just money that he done. Okay, let me not go there. But to be clear, once that got shut down, it became much more difficult for him to be able to have the access to or having the means to contribute. They could still send it through the mail, but that was not as easy as it was in terms of sending it directly to the GoFundMe account. You see? You know, I'm wondering if I should do this or not. Let me see. And I'm hesitant to do this simply because, as you can see, I redacted the names because I don't want to have to show people's names. But there's some. I want to read this to you, if you guys don't mind. I'm not going to show it, and you guys, you have to take my word for it. I'm not going to get up here and say anything that is not true. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put a link to all of this up for inside the description, to this video. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. I'm going to read this to you, and y'all, you're just going to have to take my word for it, because I don't want to show people's names, but I just want you guys to be clear in terms of even back then, going all the way back to 2014, people were asking some critical questions, and people had some serious doubts, because by that time it had already been 4 years. See, most people think, some people, they think that this whole school project is just getting off of this. He's just starting, to kind of put this all together. These are the new people, the new recruits that are being drawn in. That's why he's going to the UK, and there's people over there never heard of him, and so he's talking about this school and how he's going to build a school in the UK. His third school is going to be in the UK. Really? Why are you saying that? Well, you're saying this is part of the scheme. You're saying that because that's where you're at that moment. Now, if you were on Mars and you were talking to Martians, you would be saying, look, I'm going to be building a school on Mars too, so that the Martians will contribute. That's how the scam runs. And if you're down south, you say, I'm going to be building one down here, down south, family. Maybe we'll do it in Louisiana. Maybe we're going to do it in Tennessee, or maybe we're going to do it in Alabama. We may do it in Texas. We're going to do it in Houston, family. We're going to do it in Florida, family. This is how it works. And I'm going to be looking at schools down there in Florida, family. I'm going to be looking at schools down there in Texas, family. I'm going to be looking at schools down there in Louisiana, family. We're going to do this because and I got a school. I'm going to be looking. I'm going to be bringing the keys in 3 days. So make sure y'all come on out to me, hear me speak when I come to your town, because I'm looking for schools. Send me some schools. And the idea is, as he does it, okay, oh, he's coming here. He may be building it here. Okay, let me go ahead. I'm going to send some money because I want him to build this school here because he's building it for us specifically. And then he goes down there, he does his talks, and he collects even more money. And he plugs a school wherever he's at. Doesn't matter what city it is. He always kind of gives reference. I may be building it in this area. You know, I got a school that I was looking at. You know, someone over here sent me this school. I'm going to be looking at it after tomorrow while I'm out here before I go on to the next city. So, family, you know, just reach me something real quick. Make sure you contribute to the GoFundMe or the crowd or the Indiegogo GoFundMe, right? Or the anti-Afro-Spring guy, they call it Go Fraud Me. That's how the scam works. And then when he goes up north, he does the same thing. He just changes the names. Maybe he's in Philly. You know, he's back in Philly. You know, family, I've been thinking about, you know, the tri-state area. You know, like there's a school I've been looking at in New York. There's a school, but this school right here, there's another school over here I've been looking at in South Philly. But you know, this particular school, it needs to be renovated and this and that and this, that, the other than the third. You know how it goes. I'm going to be in Massachusetts. You know, I just want to make sure I let you all know I'm going to be in Baltimore. My Baltimore family, make sure you donate because I'm going to be speaking there next week and I'm going to be taking a look at some schools while I'm out there. And make sure you send me some schools while I'm out there. And people do. And he gets out and he talks. And when he does his talk out there in Baltimore or wherever it is in Philly, or if he's in New York someplace or in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, then he said, you know, I saw the school out here in Brooklyn. He's in Philly. I saw the school over here in Philly. He's in Baltimore. I was looking at the school the other day. And matter of fact, this particular, he always says that. Matter of fact, this, you know, as it turns out, just 3 days ago, I happened to see a school out here. Even though I was speaking, you know, on the West Coast on that same day. I don't know how I got out here that quickly. But anyway, I saw the school out here. And, you know, family, I'm really thinking, I feel good about this school. I need you to donate. Because it's right where you're at. It's near you. And this is for your sons. This is for your boys. We got to save these black boys. And this school will save your sons, family. And then people are more inclined to now donate. And then he does that and he goes someplace else. And maybe he goes to the Midwest and he does the same thing. And he goes to the West Coast and he does the same thing. And then he starts going overseas. And now he's making promises overseas now. What you going to do? How you going to build schools everywhere? Am I going off on a tangent? I just want to explain to you all how the scam works. Let me read something to you. I'm not going to show this simply because the names aren't redacted. And I think that it wouldn't be the right thing to do. You guys are going to have to take my word for it. Again, I'm not a man who's going to get up here and lie. But what I'm sharing with you all here is some of the comments that appear as of right now on his Twitter page. They're probably going to be deleted once he gets a hold of this or someone informs him. But that's okay because the screenshots, we have the screenshots. I want to read some of this to you because I want you guys to be clear how long this scam has been going. Okay, so initially it reads here, no, FDMG is not open, is not yet open. We need to raise 2 million ASAP. And then he gives his PayPal account. And then he says, I'm currently principal of a public school. Okay. There's an individual here on September 8th, 2014 who wrote and asked the question, which state or school are you in, DC or Philly? So they're asking, okay, what school are you a principal at? Because he says, I'm currently a principal as he's, you know, touring the states. Okay, he's a principal. Another one of the comments here was left on August 28th, 2014. It was posed as a question. It says, how much did we donate already? Please tell us. There's another comment here, August 27, 2014, and it says, I'm current. Oh, what does it say? No, I'm sorry. August 27, 2014. It says, Brother Umar, I have a question about beginning the Black Parents Association in Indianapolis. This is another one of the scams that he's been running for a long time. Okay. Let me do something else real quick. Let me see if this will come up because I want to see if I can share one other thing with you guys. You know, okay. All right. Now I'll leave that at that. Okay. There's another one too I want to look at in just a moment. But okay, so this is the screenshot, but let's go to the next one here. So this one was August 27, 2014. Okay, so here is September 6th. Okay, this is the following month of 2014. And so he says here, Dr. Umar Johnson, this is on Twitter, and it says, due to my obligations as principal, I will be unable to attend the November Haiti trip scheduled for 11/20 through the 23rd. Okay, so part of what this illustrates is he's still claiming to be a principal. All the while, though, by the way, he's still he's doing all these different talks, and he's traveling the United States of America, and he's collecting money for this school. Anti-Afro-Spring Galley also pointed out something that was really interesting too. If you're a principal for a public school, is it a conflict of interest for you to be raising money to start your own school that is not within the public school, and you're doing that and using your status as a quote unquote principal as leverage? Think about that for a moment. It's unethical. I mean, it's obviously not true because he wasn't a principal anyway, but the point is that in the midst of him claiming to be a principal, he's also made a promise to build a school for all black boys while traveling. And the scam by this time has already been going on for 4 years. Think about that. And one of the replies down here is it says, principal. Someone's asking, what? You're a principal? And where? Where is this? Where were you a principal at? Does anyone know? Okay, now it gets interesting. Here's the next one. Y'all doing all right? Here we are now, and now we're January 12th of 2018. That was January of this year. Let's get the timeline right too, by the way. Let's go back, okay? Because basically he's saying all the way back here on in 2014, August of 2014, he's claiming to be a principal at that time. You see that? And here we are in September of 2014. So based upon what he's saying here, by the time we get to January of 2018, now he's finally resigned from being it resigned this morning from the school at which I served as a certified school psychologist. Let me get this straight, the timeline straight. Okay. I resigned this morning from the school at which I've served as a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. Okay, so if you served as a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years, how does the math work out? Let's say instead of 10 years, let's say it was 9 years or 8 years for that matter. That would go back to 2010. Yeah, but in 2010, how is it that you've been a certified school psychologist going back to 2010, but in 2014 you were a principal? Does this make sense? I'm going to do this again because I want us to be clear. August of 2014, he claims to be a principal of a public school. That's in 2014. Here we are in 2018, and he says, I've resigned from being a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. That would go back to, let's just say somewhere around in thereabouts. Let's say if that 10, nearly 10, he's never very clear in terms of dates too, by the way. Everything, because once you lie, you keep lying. That never makes sense. Let's just say he's saying nearly 10 years. I think it's reasonable. We can say 8, maybe 9. If we say 8, that would take us back to 2010. And that would mean that since 2010, all the way up to 2008, he had functioned as a certified school psychologist from 2008. Or let's say we can say 2010. But wait a minute. How are you serving as a certified school psychologist from 2010 all the way up to 2000? What is this? 2000. I'm sorry. This doesn't even make any sense. Yeah, 2010. Let's just say 2010 to 2008. But you have stated that you were a school principal in 2014. I mean, I'm getting confused as I talk about this. It doesn't make sense. But do you guys see my point? You can't be a school principal, serve as a school principal while you're also serving as a certified school psychologist. These are two different positions. And you guys understand that a school principal, that the responsibility, and for a school psychologist, the responsibilities, there's no way that you can have enough time to do both. and mind you, while you're doing supposedly both, and obviously he can't, right? But that's the lying part of this. He's a habitual liar. But let's just accept for a moment, even though it's completely illogical and it's impossible for you to serve simultaneously as a certified school psychologist and have that workload, and at the same time you're also the principal. But let's say that it is possible. It's possible, but during the same time you're touring the United States of America and beyond, by the way, and you're lecturing and you're the quote unquote most requested scholar because you're doing all of these talks and all these lectures all around the country. And at the same time, you're serving as a certified school psychologist, and you're also a public school principal. I'm going to stop for a moment because I just want you all to just let that sink in for a moment. It's even difficult for me to try to rationalize. In other words, it's difficult for me to try to make sense of it all because it makes absolutely no sense. It's an impossibility. And the reason why it's an impossibility is because it is a lie. Now, we could say maybe he's lying about one of these things. That's possible. Maybe he's telling the truth about one and he's lying about the other. That's possible. But both, it's an impossibility, especially when we consider the fact that he was also heavily touring the United States of America and beyond during this time period as he continued with this school scam to try to get more and more people to donate. And he was all over the place. How are you going to serve as a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years, but then at the same time be traveling the country and in some cases the world, at some points the world, and then at the same time you're a school principal? I'm going to stop there for just a moment. And I want you guys just to let that sink in for a moment. 18 billion says a traveling principal, psychologist, and public speaker. Okay, has that sunk in? Okay. So it's possible that he's just lying. Maybe he's lying about being a principal, or maybe he's lying about being a certified school psychologist. But can we all agree that he's lying one way or the other? Yes, I think that it's rational. I also think that it's fair. Okay, and again, these are in his own words. This isn't stuff that I made up. Okay, now the other thing too is, this stuff may be coming off of the internet very soon. I'm telling you, he has a history of doing that, of pulling different things. When he does things and he gets them in trouble or lies get tangled up and people start to realize, he'll start pulling stuff down. Okay, he does it all the time. Now, this gets really interesting, and I'm only going to share a couple of things on this because oftentimes I think if we can take a step back and look at how people were responding during that time period, and in this case, we're talking about January 12th of 2018. That was just at the beginning of this year. So in other words, at the beginning of this year, that's when he says, look, this morning, I resigned from being a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. Okay. Look at the reply. Can y'all see that, by the way? Okay, and I've redacted the person's name just because I think it's the right thing to do. And this person, they have the little smiley faces that's kind of laughing like, this is ridiculous. And it says, I thought you were in Japan and China. You wasn't working at nobody's school. Your lies are way too much. You need to cut it. People are hip to the game. They were hip to the game back in the early 2018, but way before that, people already knew. And many of y'all know, and many of y'all who still defend the man, you know that he's a fraud and he's a habitual liar, and you know it. But you still defend him. You still send that money. But this isn't about you as much as it is about Umar Johnson. People, you have it's free will. You can choose what you will. I'm just giving you guys, and I'm sharing with you all from Umar Johnson's own mouth what he has said, and it gets so much more deeper in just a moment as we continue with through this presentation. Okay, but this person says, "I thought you were in Japan and in China." See, so by this time he's already been going all around the world. He was in China. He's in the bath, and he's doing videos in the bath on y'all's money. You know what I'm saying? On y'all's dime. You single mothers, you're paying for his trips. So he can get out there, he go get in the bath and do little video shoots in the bath. It's funny, but it's not funny. Y'all know it's not funny. Big Papa, I love it when you call me Big Papa. He's in there blowing bubbles. I'm kidding not. Oh my God. When I saw that, I said, oh my goodness, what is going on here? Someone done lost their mind. I don't even know if they ever had it. Y'all paying for him to go on his little vacation trips. I'm gonna build you a school, family. Don't worry, single black mothers. I'm gonna take care of your sons. But you're gonna pay for it. I know you ain't got no money, but send me your money anyway. Send me your money so I can build this school for your boy. And I know you can't afford the tuition, but send me your money anyway. I'm building it for your son. And I'm gonna go on overseas. I'm gonna go get in the bath. I'm going to Japan and China. You keep your ass there. I'm sorry. Let me okay. I'm sorry. I told myself I wasn't going to get like that, but it gets so ridiculous at a certain point. I just can't help myself. Okay. Now, I'm not going to show you the other comments on the screen, but I want to read you some of these. I'm going to share with you all someone else's comments. I'm not going to actually show it on the screen, but I'm going to share it with you because I don't have this redacted. This is one of the individuals on January 4th said he has babies in different places. He can take an L, lie and hustle money at the same damn time. Okay, so this person is saying, well, okay, I'll leave it at that. Someone said with a Houdini school and Houdini degree. Okay, someone says now the school and the degree are under the invisible cloak. Stephen got that new. Okay. All right. There's more that I can share, but I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Someone also said, so you're trying to tell the people he didn't go to Africa or not, because that's where he said he was going. Yeah, but I think the point that this person is making is, how are you going to be a certified school psychologist and serving as a certified school psychologist and going and touring the world and going to Japan and China all at the same time? Okay. All right. Okay, let's go to the next slide, and then we're going to get into some audio. All right. Oh, no, we're at the audio. Okay, so now here comes the part of this is so that you guys, we looked at tweets, we look at some Facebook posts. This is all in his own words. Now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to some audio. Okay, and you guys, I'll just play it and then I'll have some commentary, but I'm not going to say too much, especially for these first few. I just want you guys to hear what's being said, and then I'll have some commentary. All right, you guys ready? Okay, here we go. Here is the, okay, and I have to try to do something. So this is going to be somewhat of a test because I have to do something here. And you guys let me know if it's loud enough or if it's not loud enough. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, here we go. Here's the first clip. And in this clip, basically what Umar Johnson, he's stating is that the school will open in 2015. All right, here we go.
Let's look a little bit further down the not too distant future. Let's say you acquire the college. Then what?
If I acquire the college in August, we should be ready with a couple of grades that we can start in next August of 2015.
Did you guys hear that? Okay, was that clear enough for people? Was it loud or not loud enough? Y'all let me know inside the chat before I continue here. Okay, did you guys hear what he said? He's basically saying, you know, if I do get this college, then it's going to open in 2015. Did you guys hear it? Audio was great. Okay, I'll play it one more time. Okay, and this is in his own words. I don't want to hear anybody say, no, yeah, they was using the audio digital technology to change my words. I don't want to hear any of that. Okay. In fact, I have links to all of this inside the description, and you can go play these as long as they're up. They're probably going to get pulled down at a certain point because Umar Johnson has a history of doing this. All right. Someone says, why is it always the next year? Yeah. Okay. Let's play it again just so that you guys can hear it one more time. Here we go.
Let's look a little bit further down the not too distant future. Let's say you acquire the college. Then what?
If I acquire the college in August, we should be ready with a couple of grades that we can start in next August of 2015.
Okay. I don't really have any commentary other than to say that this is 2015. He's saying that you know, if things go the way that he would like, that in 2015. Now someone could say, and I don't mean to say it, but in his defense, I guess I'll say, Okay, I think it's fair. Someone can say, okay, he had a goal of doing it in 2015, but maybe things didn't work out. So is it reasonable for it not to take place in 2015 and maybe instead in 2016? Yeah, I would say, okay, that's reasonable. Okay, but again, I want you guys to remember, when did this scam first start? This scam first started back in 2010. And by the time we get to this point in this presentation, in terms of the timeline, we're already here at 2015 or close to 2015. You guys understand what I'm saying? At this point, he's actually in 2014. All right. Okay. Hey, these aren't my words. These are in his own words. Okay. So that's 2000. Now, here we are at another clip, okay, where Umar Johnson claims that the school will open in 2017. And there were times where he said that it was going to open in 2016. Okay. All right. Let's play this one.
Here we go. That's how we help fund Dr. Umar Johnson's flights and hotels and rental cars to travel the country to look at different school properties. Okay, I have several properties I'm going to be looking at. We will have a school in 2017. We will have a school in 2017.
Okay, do you guys already see my point? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to play the first clip and then we're going to play the second clip. Here we go.
Let's look a little bit further down the not too distant future. Let's say you acquire the college. Then what?
If I acquired a college in August, we should be ready with a couple of grades that we can start in next August of 2015.
Okay, here's the other clip.
That's how we help fund Dr. Umar Johnson's flights and hotels and rental cars to travel the country to look at different school properties. Okay, I have several properties I'm going to be looking at. We will have a school in 2017. We will have a school in 2017.
Okay, I just want to remind people that by the time we're at 2017, we're now 7 years in. Okay, so he's already made a promise of 2015. He had also made promises in 2016, but then we also have audio of him making a promise in 2017. What's the title of this too, by the way? Umar Johnson School Scam Part 1, An Unfulfilled Promise is a Lie. Because that's what I'm really getting at here. See, the way, well, maybe I'm saying this too soon, but the way that I look at this is, even if, let's say, you have this delusion of grandeur, maybe you overexpose yourself in terms of making promises. Maybe you bit off too much more than what you can actually chew. You understand what I'm saying? The right thing to do is just simply to refund people's money. To say, hey, look, people, look, family, I know y'all done give me $750,000, which is probably closer to 100 million, but or $1 million. Okay, it's probably closer to about $1 million. But let's just say, because that's what he's admitted to, $750,000. Why not just say, hey, look, family, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm going to refund all of your money. That would be the right thing to do. And that's a solution in and of itself. Wouldn't that be the right thing to do? But there's reasons why he cannot do that. Okay, and I'm not even going to get into that here. Okay, but I just want you guys to be clear about something, that it's an unfulfilled promise which has become a lie, but the scam continues to this day. That's why he's going overseas. He's got to go to the UK and he has to make promises that he's going to build a school there. Oh, really? People are like, what? Are you serious? No, okay. Y'all, some of y'all think I'm making, no. In his own words. So we listen to the first clip where Umar says the school will open in 2015. And then we listen to the second clip where Umar says that the school will open in 2017. This is all his own words. Now, here we all are where he makes another promise. Let's take a listen to this one.
The update on the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy for Young African Men is that we are down to 4 cities. Chicago, I visited a school today that I like. Detroit, there is a school that I like, but there is another that I may like more. So I'm waiting for the realtor to get them keys, and I'm praying that he'll get those keys on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, or January the 2nd. Wilmington, Delaware, we still got a school in a cut in Wilmington. One more inspection needed. Okay, in Atlanta, Georgia, we have a school in the cut. one more inspection needed. So I am hoping with the grace of God that we will be done with this process New Year's Day, and you will know what the first school will be.
Okay, and when he says New Year's Day, he's referring to January 1st, 2018. Okay, so I remember around this time last year, that was what he was saying, and he was going hard on campaigning to get more money into that GoFundMe campaign. He was like, look, we got to do this now because I got to make a decision. And so I'm going to be making a decision on the 1st. I remember he did all these videos, but all this was part of the scam to get people riled up and get people to get back to contributing. A lot of people by that time had given up and they were saying, no, look, you know, you're not going to do it. And, you know, you're lying. And there was a lot of people that were very upset even at that point. But what he did was, and this is called moving the goalposts. You just changed the promise. You just moved the promise to another date. He's been doing this for a long time now, ladies and gentlemen. And here we are. He was making promises. And this is last year. He says, okay, January 1st of 2018. Here we are now. We're getting close to January 1st, 2019, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It's another unfulfilled promise. Okay. So just to reiterate, I just want to go back here. What I'm showing you here is that in the beginning, we're talking about 2010. Okay, when the scam first got set off. Okay, by 2014, he's trying to raise $2 million. Okay, and he's also claiming to be a principal of a school. Okay, but then September 2014, he says, okay, he because of his obligations as a principal, he couldn't make a particular trip. But then here we are in 2018, and he says, I resigned this morning from the school at which I've served as certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. That's in 2018. And then here we are going back in terms of the audio where 2015, okay, he says a school is to open in 2015. Then he also says the school is going to open in 2017. And then he says he will have a school location in January 1st of 2018. You guys got that? Here's another clip too, by the way. Let's take a listen.
I need everybody to make them donations. Go to GoFundMe, drop the donations. We ain't worrying about no haters, you feel me? We too blessed to be stressed. We too blessed. Haters are shaking in the boots because they know it's coming. They know that Alpha Male Academy is coming right now. You understand? Ain't nothing they can do about it. August 21st, 2018, 8/21/18. It's Papa season. You understand? You understand me?
Yeah, I think we understand. I mean, do you all understand? I mean, at this point, is it clear to you all? It's clear to me. One thing I want to say, too, I think is important to recognize is that this was an important promise, a date that he made, because after this one, a lot of people started to catch up to the game. And basically, a lot of people were sort of saying, look, OK, this is basically a scam. A whole lot of people got upset because that date came and it went. Okay, someone in the chat room said, oh, so it's August 21st, 2018. And people were waiting around. And then here we are, August 21st. Now, what are we in? We're in what, November of 2018? I remember he did this one video, too, by the way. And this was right when the summer got started. And he was saying, well, no, you know, it's Leo season. And now I have a surprise and about this school. And he was basically saying that, you know, I have an announcement to make about the school. But what happened? There wasn't no announcement that he had found the school, but he was claiming that he had found the school during the summer. So and then the other date, of course, that he set was the date that we just discussed, August 21st, 2018. That's an actual date, not just saying, OK, during the summertime, he gave the date and that date came and left. And that was an important one because a lot of people began to realize that, OK, this is just a scam because it's called moving the goalposts over and over and over again. You know, there's something else I want to do. Well, actually, yeah, let me do this real quick because I want to make sure that people understand something. This particular post right here is very telling. It's very telling. I'm going to read it again. I resigned this morning from the school at which I served as certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. I resigned because I don't want their reputation harmed from all the false negative publicity circulated about me daily. The state charges also helped this decision. Okay, so I want you guys to understand the level of hypocrisy. Though on one hand, he criticizes the public school and he wants to create his own school to save your boys. He also considers the reputation of the school that he supposedly has served as a certified school psychologist for nearly, why would it matter to him? Why would it even matter? He spent so much time debasing the public education system, right? Why would he even care? I resigned because I don't want their reputation harmed. Why would that matter? It makes no sense, does it? I don't want their reputation harmed from all the false negative publicity circulated about me daily. And then he says the state charges also helped this decision. So remember, he was called, y'all remember this? Anti-Afro Svengali, she really was at the forefront of really revealing a lot of information. A lot of information you guys don't know. That's why I want to encourage everyone to make sure you guys check out her YouTube page. She did extensive research into this and stayed up on top of this when, you know, Umar Johnson, I mean, he was in, and people think it's over, but it's not. Okay, people think it's over, but he was in some very hot water with the Board of Psychology. Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong with that in terms of terminology, anti-Afro Svengali. I don't know if you're still here or not, but so just to be clear, y'all remember when all that was going on? Well, around that same time, January 12, 2018, not too long ago, was the beginning of this year. Okay, that's when this particular post come out, but this post is so very revealing. Okay, I didn't mean to kind of divert away from what, you know, our momentum, but again, let's go back. I'm not going to play the audio, just to be clear. Umar Johnson, in his own words, he says the school is to open in 2015. Then he says the school is to open in 2017. And then he says he will have a school January 1st, 2018. I want you guys to remember that too. He said that I would have a school January 1st, 2018. I'm going to say it again. He says, I will have a school. There will be a school location. I'll decide on January 1st, 2018. Okay, y'all remember that? Can you do that for me? Thank you. Okay, here's another clip. Did I play this one? I'm not sure if I played this one, but just in case, let's go ahead. Okay, this one, it's Umar Johnson says the school will open again in 2018. Here we go.
I need everybody to make them donations. Go to GoFundMe, drop the donations. We ain't worrying about no haters, you feel me? We too blessed to be stressed. We too blessed. Haters is shaking in the boots because they know it's coming. They know that Alpha Male Academy is coming right now. You understand? Ain't nothing they can do about it. August 21st, 2018, 82118. It's Papa season. You understand? You understand me?
I'm sorry. When I be listening to, I know I already played that one, but when I listen to it, I just realized just how ridiculous it all is. It really is. And this particular clip is taken from a video. What do y'all think he was doing in this video? Because this is something that Anti-Afro Svengali talked about a lot. And I'm sorry, it is funny. This is the hilarious part of this. Again, the scamming is not nice. It's not. The scheming, the scamming, the fraud. Okay, that's not right. Claiming these titles, and there's a lot of people online that do that. They'll claim to be something that they're not. It's Papa season. I'm sorry. What do you guys think he was doing while he was making that particular video? And thank you, Anti-Svengali. She says, you got it, Brother Lenon. Board of Psychology, who made sure the public knows Umar isn't a psychologist, but refused to say to do anything because all his victims are Black. Okay, so I want you guys to understand that Anti-Svengali, she's in that field. Okay, she's an expert, and that's one of the reasons why she's spoken out against Umar Johnson's fraud, right? Because it doesn't reflect well on her profession, and that's a very admirable thing to do, to defend your profession. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I have a lot of respect for her, because it shows integrity, and not just integrity as a human being, but integrity as a professional. You see, but she spent a lot. She did a lot of work in terms of staying on top of that particular issue with the Board of Psychology, right? And she was very specific in terms of explaining that no, he's not an actual psychologist, and why that title does not apply to Umar Johnson. And there's a difference. There's an extreme difference, my goodness, between a psychologist as a professional title and a school psychologist. All right. And that's why I think people need to understand this gets back to the issue of Umar adopting all these different personalities, and he'll attach particular titles to these different personalities, different personas, so as to reach and tap into different demographics. It makes more sense in terms of broadening the scope of the scam. The more people you can incorporate into your scam via using these false fake titles, then the more money you'll be able to generate. See, that's all part of the scam. Okay. Okay, so I had asked the question, what do y'all think he's doing while he's talking all this talking about the Papa season and you know the haters are shaking in their boots? Okay, let me read some of the responses. Some Rodney says maybe all the buildings. Okay, no, let me see. What do we have? Someone said maybe all the buildings are not passing inspection. What buildings though? That's what I'm saying. Let's see here. Someone said, I would guess he's standing at a podium. Okay, maybe he's giving a speech. No, he's not. He's not. So I'll just tell you guys that straight off of the bat, he's not. What else do we have? Any other? Well, there's other ones in here, but I can't scroll. So if I scroll up, I won't be able to see anything other than this. Okay. Also, let me just, before I tell you all what he was doing during this time, because I think you guys need to be made aware of it. It's very important. Anti-Afro said, plus the prosecution attorney wrote a 23-page appeal pointing out Umar's lies, which included the school he said he quit, refused to verify employment and never provided an employment contract. Okay. Just, you know, Black Samurai says, what was he doing? Black Samurai says he was counting money. Okay. Equal Rights says he never got those keys. He seems never to get those keys. Okay. All right. So what he was doing, and this is one of the strategies in terms of the scam, was that at a certain point, people started to ask questions and people started to report his fraud to GoFundMe. And because he admitted this, that people were complaining because there was no kind of update and you know, people didn't know where their money had gone. And you know, he's traveling around the world. He keeps making all these promises. And each time he sets a date, that date passes and nothing comes out of it. So at a certain point, there are a lot of people, including people who supported him and contributed to his crowdfunding campaign for the Phantom School. They got upset. And they started to complain to go, and that's and inevitably that campaign got shut down because of fraud. But the point that I want to make here is that one of the reasons why Umar Johnson really started to pick up the momentum in terms of doing videos where he's out supposedly looking at schools was because that was supposed to be the justification as to why it was taking so long. In other words, you can keep kind of going on and saying, no, I am making progress, even though you're not. And the way that you do that is you put forth this illusion that you're actually looking for a school. You guys understand what I'm saying? So you know, he'll record a video of him at a school site. And in many cases, he's not actually inside of the school. He's just walking outside of the school. And there's no one there kind of showing him around. And he's just walking, you know, it's like anybody else walking. It's, you can go and walk up in front of that school. It doesn't, you know, it's no big deal. But what he does is he'll walk around and he'll record it. And he did this so many times. When I would see it, I was like, this is utterly ridiculous. This is not the way to do things. There's no real estate agent there. There's no property manager there. There's no school official there. There's no one with keys to actually open up the building so that he can go inside. There was only a few where I actually saw there was someone there, but there were so many where he's just walking around or he's standing out in front of the building. So in point of fact, this particular clip, what he was doing was he was standing out in front of this building and he was saying that he adjusted an inspection in this building, but he just came out and he didn't record anything while he was in the building. And then while he's out of the building, the doors closed. It looks like everything is all locked. And he starts to record. And he starts talking about how he just did this school tour. You all see the scam, the game here. And so as he's walking around, that's when he begins to talk. And one of the things that he says is this.
I need everybody to make them donations. Go to GoFundMe, drop the donations. We ain't worrying about no haters, you feel me? We too blessed to be stressed. We too blessed. Haters are shaking in the boots because they know it's coming. They know that Alpha Male Academy is coming right now. You understand? Ain't nothing they can do about it. August 21st, 2018, 8/21/18. It's Papa season. You understand? You understand me?
Okay, I think we all understand at this point. And see, even right now, if I just stopped here, I think that that's more than enough incriminating information, or really incriminating evidence from Umar Johnson's own mouth, for people to recognize that this particular school is nothing but a scam. There is no school, too, by the way, because he often says, I'm going to give an update on the school. Well, how are you going to give an update on something that does not exist? That's like me saying, you know, I'm going to give an update on my unicorn. I want y'all to think about this for a moment. I know you some of y'all may be saying, no, you're being facetious. No, I want you to be clear that if something is not real, how are you going to give an update on something that is not real? You're going to give an update on something that does not exist. Now, if he says something like, I'm going to give an update on me trying to find a school, that's one thing. But to say I'm going to give an update on FDMG, no, there is no FDMG. Not physically or even on paperwork. And there's reasons why for that too. There is no legal entity called FDMG. And yet when he asks people to write checks to send to his PO box, he's referencing FDMG. This too is part of the scam. Sounds like some Brother Polite kind of thing, right? Okay, so I want to go ahead and just remind people that part of the scam at a certain point, when people really start to ask questions and they start to complain, and people also complained to PayPal because he was complex. He had different revenue streams or you know, I don't know, gateways, revenue gateways, if you will, online gateways to bring money in, not just the PO box, which is physical. People send in checks and money orders, but also online. Okay. And so what was happening was that more and more people, you know, they were getting discouraged because again, he first announced this back in 2010. See, so by this time we're getting into 2017, we're getting into 2018. And a lot of people, they were like, wait a minute, you know, I've been contributing, let's say maybe for a year, maybe for 2 years, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, in some cases 7 years. Who knows how long ago he was asking for money when he was going out to talk and giving talks and so forth and so on, going all the way back perhaps to 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. So if you can imagine people who contributed at a certain point, they probably began to ask some serious questions. They had doubts, and then some people were, and more information started coming out. Then there was a stripper scandal, and all of him beefing with all these different people, and him going back with different people, Tyreek Nasheed and Boyce Watkins going, and they all going. People were like, what's going? Well, you know, how are you going to be? How are we to believe that you have the disposition to be able to run a school for all black boys? And in the first place, just to be able to go through the process of establishing a school, everything that goes into it, which is far more than most people will ever realize, just to get a school up and running, let alone hiring people, getting everything up to code, you know, making sure your insurance is in order, liability insurance, making sure you have the books, you have the computers, you have all that. All of that stuff, faculty, staff, so forth and so on. You have salary set away, you know, in order to pay people. You have people who are actually going to pay in order to, you know, to have their sons enroll inside the school. The point is this, that in the midst of this, all of the drama that is taking place in the stripper scandal and all this kind of stuff, a lot of people were like, wait a minute, this is not the man to do this. He doesn't have the disposition. He's erratic. The situation with SETI, he's erratic. The colorism issue, he's erratic. You guys understand what I'm saying? He's emotionally unstable. And so as a consequence, people, you know, there's a lot of people that just kind of lost faith. But what happened was people began to complain. They complained to PayPal. They complained to GoFundMe. And so as a consequence, what Umar Johnson began to do was, okay, what I need to do is kind of show that I'm actually making progress. And the best way, and even though I'm not actually making any progress, the best way for me to give the illusion of making progress is to start doing videos of myself walking around in the schoolyard someplace. There's only maybe 2 that I've ever seen where he's actually inside of a school. And one of those, he was in there by himself. There's no one else in there. And it really wasn't even a school. It was like it looked like a, you know, I don't know what they call those things, you know, where a daycare center kind of thing. And he's walking around taking a video of himself and no one else is around. He's being very quiet too. And I'm just going to tell you again, everything else that I've shared here, you know, I'm basing it based upon his own words and post, but I'm going to share something here, just speculation. This is going to be it. And well, maybe I may speculate later, but this is going to be something that's speculative. I think he broke into that particular building. If he's willing to go to these lengths to con and scam people, why wouldn't he? I mean, why would we think that he wouldn't do that? There's no one else around. He's being very quiet. He's walking around real quiet. I'm speculating here, but my belief is that he broke into that building and he slid through a window or can you see him climbing up? Yeah, I'm ain't nobody in that building. I'm just climb up in there. And he just climbs up on in there. I'm sorry, I shouldn't do that. Okay. I told myself, but all of this is so ridiculous that, you know, I have to infuse just a little bit of humor because it is so ridiculous. And it's tragic too. And that's my way of just kind of easing things out. But I can just see him climbing through a window or, you know, climbing, just, you know, I don't know, whatever it takes. He can climb. Okay. So what he was doing in this particular video clip was he was walking around on a school ground, and he was claiming that he was doing an inspection, or that he was checking out the property, and this is one of the schools that he was supposedly looking at. Someone said a trespasser alert. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, one of the reasons why I say this, and I have a link to this video inside the description for this particular video on YouTube. When I say the link to this video, I'm talking about this audio that I'm playing. I have a link to the actual video. And one of the things I found fascinating is that towards the end, he ends it very abruptly, and right before he ends it, he starts looking off into the distance, and you can tell like someone's walking in his direction. See, I pick up on those types of things. All right. It's subtle, but you can tell he kind of looks over real quickly and at a glance, and you can tell, you can sense it, that it's like almost a sort of fear that comes over him. And then maybe a couple of seconds later, he real quickly, he just kind of finishes up what he has to say, and then he clicks out of the video, or in other words, he stops recording. All right. Okay, so that's when Umar Johnson says the school is to open in 2018. Again, this is all his own words. Okay. I think I saw something too. I have to make sure, because Anti-Afro Svengali had said something too. I want to make sure that I read that. It says, "Oh, please, Umar running a school. He'd be sexing up parents in back rooms while their children wait outside the door, just like Seti said, which sent Umar into rage because he knows it's true." And this is, I would agree with this, and I'm going to agree with the Seti part here. Because when you guys remember the whole Seti beef situation that took place, I think what really triggered Umar to go off to that extreme. And again, let me go back. I'll go back here real quick. That's the picture over here on the right with him in the Philly cap, and he's trying to be all hardcore gangster style. He ain't about that life, people. All right. But I do have a sense, and Anti-Afro Svengali just alluded to that one of the reasons why Umar reacted that way was because too much truth was being stated by Seti, and that really triggered Umar, because ultimately the con is the school, but it's in the con is not just to get money, but also to gain access to women who believe in him, more specifically single Black women who have children. And that's why the stripper situation that came up, that's why that's so telling. You see, so when Seti revealed that truth, and see, I want you guys to understand that it's not just what Seti's saying. People who are behind the scenes, they've been talking about this type of behavior for a long time. A lot of y'all just simply don't know it because you're not behind the scenes. But if you've been around long enough and you've talked, and I was first introduced into the so-called Black conscious community when I was in college. So we're going back to probably when I was about 19 years old. I'm about to be 43. So it's been a long time, and there's a lot of people that I've met. Stories get circulated, stories that, some of these stories, if you all ever heard them, you would be, what? Are you serious? And there's been a lot of people. There's been a lot of women who have spoken out about Umar trying to basically get up, run game on them, trying to figure out the ways for them to come to his hotel rooms while he's out speaking. There's all types of stories that are out there. Now, I can't say too much more than that, because that's stuff that individuals who have had those experiences, I think that's up to them if they want to come forward and share that type of information. But I just want us to be clear that one of the reasons why Umar really became unhinged was because what Seti was talking about in terms of Umar's sexual behavior, and really using his position as the quote unquote most requested scholar, Big Papa, using his position and influence to manipulate single Black women into having sex with him and to have sexual relations with him. Single Black women in particular who had sons. Okay. And that's why Umar, I have a sense that's why he became so unhinged, and he went into a fit of rage, because that truth was being told, and it was being told by Seti. You'll be surprised too. A lot of these internet-based leaders, they have a lot of information about each other, and it's interesting. Oftentimes you see them beefing with each other, and they'll say certain things about each other, and they'll reveal certain truth, but then they get back together and they're all cool. It's because they get together and they kind of coalesce again for profit. But then at a certain point, there's a falling out. Whenever there's a falling out, whenever there's beef, there is truth that is being revealed. I remember this one brother once said, yeah, let them do what they're doing. Let them continue to have beef with each other, because as they're having this beef, they're telling the truth on each other. And they have information about each other because they've been dealing with each other, and they've been dealing in the same circles for 5, 10, 15, in some cases, 20, 30 years. You see, so that's why I think it was very revealing what took place with Seti. But you know what? I was not surprised, though, either. I was not surprised in terms of what happened after Seti had said what he said. OK. All right. So, again, going all the way back to 2010. For those of y'all who tuned in later, make sure you check this out in the archive, because what I talked about was that each one of these pictures actually represent a different caricature, a different persona that Umar Johnson actually plays in order to tap into different demographics. Okay, you got the professional here on the left. In the middle, you have the Pan-Africanist. And then on the right, you have the ghetto-centric character, right? And each one of these taps into a different demographic within the African-American community, but he also has other personas that he uses at different times. And each one has a different type of, it's composed in a different type of way, uses a different type of a language, right? The personality is a bit different. But what you'll find interesting that when he gets into a pinch or in a bind, the real Umar Johnson comes out. Okay. You guys hear me on that? Okay. Okay. So this all goes back to 2010 in terms of the school. A lot of people think that it's 2004-ish, 2015. No, all the way back to 2010. Okay, you guys can check. We talked all about all this earlier. Again, this is him claiming to be a principal back in 2014. And then here it is in 2014 again, saying, he has obligations as a principal at a public school. But then here we are in 2018. He says after 10 years, nearly 10 years of serving as a certified school psychologist, he's finally resigns. How does he serve for almost nearly 10 years? He's serving as a school psychologist while at the same time he's serving as a principal of a public school. How's that possible? We talked about that a little bit earlier. And then, of course, Umar Johnson says school is to open in 2015. I played audio. Umar Johnson says school is to open in 2017. I played audio. Umar claims that he will have a school in January 1st, 2018. I want y'all to remember that. Okay, January 1st, 2018. That's when he said he will have a school. And I remember he went on this big campaign to get more donations going into the end of the year, which he does every single end of the year too, by the way. There's a reason for this. I'll talk about this yesterday. If I remember, someone remind me in the chat room if you guys want to hear the reason why that is the case, that towards the end of the year, that's when he tends to really go to the extreme in terms of trying to get people to give him money. If you guys want me to explain that a little bit later, once we get to the end, just post it inside the chat room once we get to questions and answers. Okay, so here's January 1st, 2018. Umar Johnson says the school is to open in 2018. Did we already play this one? Let's just go ahead.
I need everybody to make them donations.
Okay, yeah, we already played that one. I don't know if you guys noticed too, he's breathing very heavily too while he's talking, and that's because he's walking around the school, the school, and it really actually wasn't a school, it really was a church too, by the way. I mean, my goodness, people. It has a steeple and everything. He was winded because he was walking around at this school, right? And he was basically walking in front of the school and walking around on the side, and then towards the end, you can say he looks over real quick because someone's coming. And he finishes up real quick and he cuts the camera off. But remember, the reason why he's doing it is because during that time period, GoFundMe was threatening to shut him down. And he actually talked about that. And he was blaming Black people for that. No, it's because you've been scamming people for all these years. All right. Okay. So y'all remember that date. Okay. He said it was going to be opening. What was that? January 1st, 2018. Okay. We just played this clip. Now here we go. Now it really gets interesting. Okay. Umar Johnson says school is to open 2018 and 2019 or delayed until what? And the person who got me to go watch this video, because there's a whole video is anti-Afro-Swing Golly, because she broke all this down. And this is when I think, if I'm wrong, correct me. I think it was the what was this brother's name? Mike Nice or something like that. Let me know if you're still here. Let me know. Okay, if you could post it in the chat, because I want, and I have it in the link in the description, but I also want to say it while I'm on air here. I want to play this to you, and I wish I could have, and I probably could have played a whole lot more of this, because this particular interview is extremely revealing. This is one that I would encourage everyone to check out. Okay, this was so revealing, but I'm just going to play just a very small sample of it. And this is Umar Johnson. It looks like it was like a public access a television show, and he's being interviewed by this gentleman here. Okay, so here we go.
When can my viewers, my listeners, and your supporters be expecting your school? What year? What's the time frame? Okay. If you have, again, another question that I've answered. Yep. I know you said in August of 2018, if not August in 2018, the following year, 2019.
You already have your answer.
Right. So what are the chances you're going to get that, though? have your own school by those in the next couple of years? Is 100 like is 100%, 90%? Okay.
That the school will be up on August 21st, 2019.
Okay.
And if there was a delay, and I don't see why there should be, then so be it. No one who supports me and my work would care about that at all.
Wow. No one who supports my work would care about that at all. See, one of the things about Umar is he doesn't care about his supporters. I'm going to say that straight up. He does not care one way or the other. Because see, the thing is that it doesn't really matter, because as long as he's bringing in new people, he can dismiss the other people. They can just go on about that. Even if you've already donated, so what? I've already got your money. Just get on. There's other people that I just have to tap into, other demographics, or I have to tap into people in other countries if I need to. I need to go to Africa. I need to go to Japan. Wow. I need to go to China. I'm over in UK right now. I got to do what I got to do. But can you imagine someone making a statement like that? Even if it doesn't happen in 2019. Okay, so now he's saying 2019. But then he say August 21st. Even if it doesn't, it wouldn't matter. You know, it wouldn't matter to the people who support Umar Johnson. Total lack of respect for those who support him. Total lack of respect. Yes, anti-Afro Bengali, you're right about that. Now, I think I talked about that earlier about Umar Johnson claiming to be a descendant of Frederick Douglass, and I'm going to read what anti-Afro Bengali say. There's Jamal Johnson, who's Umar Johnson's dad. Okay, and I've seen this video myself too, by the way. Okay, so it's not up there anymore, but I actually watched the video myself. Anti-Afro Bengali says Jamal Umar's dad bailed off of social media when he could no longer cover Umar's lies, crimes. Right. Plus, Jamal was humiliated and embarrassed by his firstborn. It had zero to do with the Frederick Douglass DNA test. So this is interesting what she's saying, because see, Jamal Johnson actually came out and said and revealed that he did take a DNA test, and that DNA test revealed that he was not a descendant of Frederick Douglass. So Umar Johnson's own father admitted that. And Umar Johnson's own father is the one who told him to lie in the first place. And Umar Johnson actually said that. And before, I've heard him actually say that it was his father who was the one. This is whole backstory. Okay, so his father also said that he didn't know why that he was given that lie, what have you. Well, you know what, with all the lying that Umar Johnson does, I'm a firm believer that his father is a habitual liar too. I can't believe anything that he has to say. I can't. So making up excuses as to why the DNA test revealed that what people does DNA test lie? I want y'all to think about it for a moment. If your own daddy, who was a closer descendant, genetically speaking, think about it, is a closer descendant. I'm a descendant, a closer descendant to Frederick Douglass. If he admits that he's not a descendant, well, what does that make Umar Johnson? If your daddy's not one, what does that make you? Okay, but what anti-Afro Bengali is pointing out is that it is her belief that the reason why Jamal Johnson exited social media was because he's just been so humiliated by his son. He's so embarrassed. That's possible too. I mean, I can't even imagine. But in anti-Afro Bengali, and I'm going to say this because she said it before, Umar Johnson's father should have done more to protect the people that Umar Johnson has taken advantage of, the victims. I know a lot of people don't want to look at people who are being scammed and conned as victims. No, but these are victims. That's one of the things that we need to correct in the African-American community. We accept abuse and we're like, okay, no, it's no big deal. We say things like, well, they should have known better. Well, what we're doing is we're excusing the deviant. We're excusing the deviant behavior. We're excusing the deviancy and the criminality present in those who are in our communities taking advantage of us. And anti-Afro Bengali has spoken about this many, many times in many of her videos. By the way, anti-Afro Bengali, the name of this interviewer, I think it was Mike Nice. If you can verify that for me, if you're still on, I would really appreciate it, just because I want to make sure that I have it in this actual audio when people are listening in. That way y'all can go and check it out yourself. Okay, because that particular interview, and I have a link down below inside the description, but that particular video is so extremely revealing if you listen to it from the beginning all the way to the end. Okay, Do I need to play? Let me play that one more time. And I just want you guys to listen to what he says at the beginning, because this proves that the scam is just about getting people's money. It's not about fulfilling the promise at all. Let's listen to it one more time.
When can my viewers, my listeners, and your supporters be expecting your school? What year? What's the time frame?
Okay.
If you had,
Again, another question that I've answered.
Yep.
50
I know you said in August of 2018, if not August in 2018, the following year of 2019.
You already have your answer.
Right. So what are the chances you're going to get that though? Have your own school by those in the next couple of years? Is 100 like is 100%, 90%? Okay.
That the school will be up on August 21st, 2019.
Okay.
And if there was a delay, and I don't see why there should be, then so be it. No one who supports me and my work would care about that at all.
I want y'all to think about this for a moment. How many people have supported his work? And see, a lot of y'all think, some of y'all think, no, it's only been 4 years. No, we're going back now to 2010. I already showed you guys the post. Okay, if you guys came in later, we already talked about that. It's all archived. This is Umar Johnson's own post. These are his own words. What does that say in terms of how he sees the people who support him? In fact, I wanted to include this particular. Yes, okay. Thank you, Anti-Afro Bengali. She says yes. It's Mike Nice show on Citizens TV. Okay, I believe his real name is Mike Howard, but he goes by the Mike Nice show. Okay, I'm going to read that again for anyone else, because I think that this particular interview is so revealing. Okay, and I'm going to read verbatim what Anti-Afro Bengali posted here. He says, yes, it's Mike Nice show. Okay, Nice on Citizens TV. I believe his real name is Mike Howard, but he goes by the Mike Nice show. Okay, so I want to encourage everyone when you have some time to go and check out that particular interview and watch it from the beginning all the way to the end, because so much is revealed in terms of Umar Johnson in the scamming and the scheming, in the conistry, if you will. Now, what I was going to say before we move on, and we're almost done too, by the way, what I want to say is Umar Johnson has a complete disregard for his followers and for his supporters. He doesn't care about any of you. He doesn't care. And those of y'all who maybe you're watching this and you're getting upset and maybe you're angry at me. Like I said in the beginning, there was a woman when I talked about some of these issues about a year ago. She said that I'm an evil person. I think that those are some strong words. Again, you know, I haven't said anything here that is untrue. Everything I'm saying, it's based upon what Umar Johnson has said. I'm just kind of, you know, giving you guys a different angles to look at what he has said, whether it's audio or we're looking at actual post. You know, ultimately, you guys decide. I think at this point, though, to be honest with you, everything that I've talked about here and everything that you've heard from Umar Johnson's own mouth and then also the post, it reveals the truth that this school is nothing more than a scam. Now, some of y'all, you're going to hold on to it. You're going to hold on to it. But I have a saying, and I want you all to hear me when I say this saying to you all, because I say it all the time. I say it to my children, too, sometimes. And that is that time always tells the truth. Time always tells the truth. So at some point, you have to admit to it. Now, some of y'all, maybe it's going to take another 10 years. It's going to take another 20 years. Who knows? I hope it doesn't take that long. But as Anti-Afro Bengali says, buyer beware. You got to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with supporting people who are doing the good things, or, you know, maybe they need help. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But if someone puts forth this scam, this scheme, and it's so contrived and it's ongoing now for 8 years and no closer to fulfilling the promise. It's no closer today to fulfilling the promise than he was 8 years ago. People, at a certain point, you have to wake up. You have to wake up. It's on you. I'm just sharing some different angles to look at this, but I you know, in my mind, there's enough here in terms of what he has already said to show you all that he's just basically, it's called moving the goalposts. You say, I'm going to have it now, and then you don't, and you move it to the next date. You say you're going to have it by that date. You don't. That date passes. You move it to the next, and you move it to the next. As you move it to the next, and you move it to the next. Yeah, someone said it's been up to 15 years. It could be longer, and it's true. It could be longer. You know, But I'm going based upon the post that I've seen, and basically that first post that I showed, that it says 2010, but it's possible that he was scamming people with this possible school going back before. That is possible. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that. But again, I don't want to speculate. You know, I did one speculation here today, and I prefaced my statement by saying that. But everything else is based upon exactly what Umar Johnson has posted, and there's evidence, and then also what he has said. And I've already played the audio. You all decide. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see, Brother Lenon, you also, like most decent people, you did pronounce Arab correctly. Sound Arab versus Umar's racist Arab. Okay, yes. He's so ignorant and embarrassing to black people, and most people will not see that intricacy, but I think that is very much revealing. That's why your video today, like, I was like, okay, I have to do something on Umar, because what you talked about, even his lack of understanding in terms of geography. And he's over in Europe and making all of these statements. He has absolutely no clue about what he's talking about. No clue. All right. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to. Yes. Now, there was one other video that audio that I wanted to play. I just didn't have time to find it. And if anyone, even if right now, if you guys can, if there's anyone, if you have some time, if you can go online and find it, you will know exactly what video I'm talking about. And I can set it up to where I can actually get it on my computer, or you can type it in the chat room, and then I can put it on my computer and I can play it, and I can play the audio, and y'all still be able to hear. But there's this particular video, I think, that illustrates Umar Johnson's lack of respect and lack of appreciation for his followers and for those who contributed to his school scam. And in that particular video, he's doing this lecture, and at a certain point, he starts to berate the audience, and he's basically saying, you know, y'all only gave me $200,000, I think, or $250,000, something to that effect. Let's just say $200,000. And he's basically complaining that, you know, at that point in the scam, people had only given him and contributed $200,000. And then he goes about the process of calling black people. My goodness gracious. I don't even want to say it on air. Anyone in the chat room know what I'm talking about, the video that I'm talking about? What did he call his supporters? I'll wait. This give me an opportunity to have a sip on some of this tea. Sip on some of this cognac. No, it's tea. Anybody, please. I want to see. Does this ring a bell? He's in this yellow suit. Okay, someone got part of it. Ultimate Hit got part of it. Okay, I'll say the first part. Someone said trifling. Okay, anti-African guy says trifling black, but there's some other stuff in there though too. What was the other part? G Gnome Project says, yeah, trifling. I saw that vid. So people, y'all know what I'm talking about. What was the full thing that he said? Well, that's close. That's close. There it is. Okay, now it's there. The whole thing. Okay. So what's interesting is everyone has a piece of it, but the whole and all of it is revealing. But when you put it all together, it just reveals the truth that he doesn't care. He doesn't care. As long as you give him money, he doesn't care. Yes, L. Bronner. What he says is, yes, there it is, anti-African Ghali. Because he's only received $200,000 or $250,000. I can't remember exactly what the figure was, but it was either one of those two. He says, they only gave me such and such amount of money, trifling ass black people. Who is he talking about? He's talking about black people, but he's also talking about his supporters, people who contributed. That's what he thinks about y'all. Not maggots. That's when he was referring to the woman that he was having sex with. And then, you know, when she exposed him for lying that he was celibate, he called her a maggot. He's calling a black woman that he's had sex with a maggot. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, and then he went on to say, if you don't like it, we can handle that outside. I'm going to call it like I say it. And if you don't like it, we can handle that outside. Now he's threatening people. He's threatening people in the audience. This is abusive behavior too, by the way. He's more abusive to black people than white, so-called white supremacists in terms of what he says and how he says it. The language that he used when he talks about his own people. You want to complain about global white supremacy, but look how we treat each other, and look how the people that we support and give all types of money to, look how they talk to us and how they treat us and lie and scheme and scam. And it's been going on and on. since at least 2010. Towards the end of that video, he's like, and I'm going to get some more and some more and some more and some more. If anyone knows where that video is at, if you guys, if you want, if you can find it for me before we close out, I'll play it. Okay. I just didn't have time to get the audio together. All right. So if anyone wants to get on that quick project, you're welcome to do so. All right. I think we have like one more to do. Yeah, I remember that too, Anti from God. He said the parents are part of the problem. He's talking to the audience, and so their kids, the boys and the girls, will, quote, I will stay in the dorms with me. I don't want y'all coming home, I don't want them going home to you. He's talking about the parents' children, because he owns the children, right? I don't want them going, you got them wearing this weave, this blonde ass weave looking like Beyonce. He's talking to he's talking to his supporters. I don't want them going home to you because you're part of the problem. He berates his audiences. He treats black people worse than white supremacists treat black people. Okay. And then he says, yeah, they're going to stay with me. The boys and the girls, they're going to stay with me. And then he pauses. He really meant to end that sentence, but he takes a drink and he thinks about it while he's drinking. And then he stops. He says, in the dorms. Did y'all catch that too, by the way? There's no way I would not have my children around him under any circumstances. It's not going to happen. I wouldn't want my children around him. I wouldn't want my daughters around him, my sons, my wife, my mama, my sisters. I wouldn't want anybody that I love around him, because there's nothing that he would not do for money or for sex, by the way, or for food. Okay, because those are his 3 addictions. We ain't going to get into all that. All right. He also has an addiction to adoration too, but that's a whole nother topic that deals with the narcissism. And okay, anyway, if anyone finds that video before we close out, please post it inside the chat room, post a link, and then I'll play that before we close out. Okay, so I just played this clip. I think we have one more, and then we'll start to close out for today.
When can my viewers, my listeners, and your supporters be expecting your school? What year? What's the time frame?
Okay.
If you had,
Again, another question that I've answered.
yep. I know you said in August of 2018, if not August in 2018, the following year, 2019.
You already have your answer.
Right. So what are the chances you're going to get that though? Have your own school by those in the next couple of years? Is 100 like is 100%, 90%? Okay.
That the school will be up on August 21st, 2019.
Okay.
And if there was a delay, and I don't see why there should be, then so be it. No one who supports me and my work would care about that at all.
I'll beg to differ on that. I think people do care, and I think you should care. You should care enough about the people who care. You should care enough about the people who support you. You should care about enough about the people who sent you that $200,000, even though you called them trifling ass black people or trifling ass Negroes, whatever it was. I think it was, he said black people. I can't remember. You should care enough. If someone is willing to put their faith in you, you should care about them enough. And that's for all of us. I think that's a lesson for all of us to learn. Okay. Umar doesn't care. All he cares about is getting money from people. The money allows him to continue with the scam. It allows him to continue to travel. It allows him to continue to get the hotel rooms. It allows him to continue to support his lifestyle. It also allows him to put himself in a position to gain access to more women to have sex with. It also allows him to buy more food. These are his addictions. At the very least, these are his 3 addictions. Okay. You guys have to be very careful, as Anti-Bengali has been saying, buyer beware. You have to be very careful, because there are individuals out here who will take advantage of you, and they will run a scam, and they will run a scam. What, 8 years running? We're getting into the 9th year of this scam coming up. That's a long time to be scamming people, and there's a lot of people out there in these internet streets who have been scamming people for a very long time. For a very long time. I think we have one more. Oh, actually, I think we have 2, but this one is interesting. This is a more recent video that he posted. Umar Johnson says he thinks he found a school and will be making a deposit. Now, one of the things I want to point out too is that oftentimes when Umar talks about, at this point, when Umar talks about the school, or when he asks about a school, he gets very defensive, because he knows that he doesn't really have an answer for any questions that people may have. Do you have faculty in line? Do you have a property? Do you have computers for the school? Do you actually have a school? Do you actually have teachers? Do you have a board of directors? Do you have, is a school an actual legal entity? I mean, it goes on and on and on. So what has happened is that he has become more and more vague in terms of when he talks about the school. Earlier on, he was a little bit more precise, even though it wasn't clear because it's a scam. But now he's become more and more vague. But the reason why he's become more and more vague is because at this point, he's already used so many other excuses that all he can do at this point is to become more vague. Does this make sense? Because you can't keep making the same excuses. You just kind of, so let me give it an example of what I mean by, being vague about things, not being clear and not being, what is the term I'm really looking for? The term I'm really looking for is not being definitive. That's the key word. At this point, he's never definitive. Okay. When he talks about the school, he'll say like, I think I found the school, or I have a really good feeling that this is the school. I'm about to do this. I'm gonna do this. But it's never definitive. You guys understand what I'm saying here? This is one of the con artist techniques, especially when you're trying to string people along indefinitely. What you do is you just become more and more vague. You understand? Okay. And I think, okay, good. Okay. I'm going to get that video in just a moment. Anti-Afro's Bengali. Thank you for posting. So I want you guys to look for that when you hear Umar Johnson talk about the school, and when he talks about he's giving an update. He also starts to invoke ancestors. He'll invoke God willing. Now it's God willing. Now it's out of my hands at this point. If the ancestors, if they had ancestors, please guide me. Okay. This has just become, in other words, it's taking the responsibility out of his hands and trying to put it on someone else's hands. And that's why he does that all the time. And he's always making excuses. He's made all kinds of excuses. I remember he blamed it on the stripper at one point, and then he blamed it on later on. More recently, he had blamed it on the archdiocese. How are you going to go from blaming a stripper to blaming the archdiocese, the Catholic Church, for why you don't have a... I want y'all to think about that for a moment. When we talk about the habitual lying, it's a stripper's fault about 2.5 years ago. But more recently, it's the archdiocese fault. It's a bishop's fault. I can't make this up. I'm sorry, people. I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Okay. All right. So here's the next one. And let's see. I don't know how long this one is. If it's a little bit longer, then I'll go and pull the other video. But this is a more recent video. Let's take a listen.
Peace and love, Black family. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. Brothers and sisters, I just wanted to take this moment to tell you that today was a very, very good day in the history of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy for Pan-African Excellence. I visited a campus today that I was very impressed with. It reminded me so much of the original campus that we tried to secure, the St. Paul's College. This campus, brothers and sisters, is a residential campus complete with 5 buildings, dozens of acres, agriculture, gardening, animals, everything we want to do, we can do here, brothers and sisters. I love it. It reminds me of the St. Paul's College. And the good news is we have the amount of money that's being requested. Now, there's other parties who are also interested in purchasing this campus. So I'm going to have to put a bid in, and they will as well. But I feel very good about our chances. Given the donations that you all have given me, and I want to thank all of my donors who have been loyal to Dr. Umar and to our young men and to the FDMG Crusade over the past 4 years. I want to thank you because I believe that this will be our school. I believe that tomorrow's eclipse is nothing but the approval, the divine approval that this is the place where the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy will be. Sunday, I'm going to talk more about this. Suffolk, Virginia, 4 o'clock. Temple Beth El, Sunday, July 15th, Virginia, come on out. It was in Virginia where we began the school hunt. It was in Virginia where we tried to get St. Paul's College. And so here we are
4 years later, by divine design, the night before the first eclipse of the summer, and we have 3 eclipses coming, by divine design, I'm coming back to the 7 cities of Virginia where this all began 4 years ago. And I'm going to talk more about this situation, this new school, putting the bid in. I'm going to put the deposit. I'll be writing the first ever check. After 4 years, I will be writing the first ever FDMG check so that I will be allowed to bid on this property. Brothers and sisters, keep us in your prayers. Keep our young men in your prayers. Keep FDMG in your prayers. But I feel better about this property than any other property we've seen. I said I feel better about this potential FDMG site than any other property that we have seen. I think this is the one, brothers and sisters. I am happy. I want you to be happy with me, but I can't announce where it is and what it is until we have sealed the deal.
Okay. I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence at this point. I think if you don't see, how can I say this and be politically correct? If you don't see the bullshit at this point, and I'm not being insulting here, okay, because I trust that each and every one of you have enough intelligence to be able to understand the game at this point in what he's doing in terms of the manipulative techniques. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean. I've done a lot of work in terms of media manipulation over the years. And when we talk about manipulative techniques, there are specific things that people do and how they say things, how they phrase things. I want you to be, I'm happy. I want you to be happy with me. Why would I be happy with you? And are you really happy when you've been scamming people since 2010 about this school? Are you really happy? And even if you are, why would I be happy? Because you're no closer today than you were in 2010 to actually having a school. See, these are all manipulative techniques. I'm going to go through each one of a couple of things from this particular audio clip, but I'm not here to insult anybody. I just want to be clear about something. Okay, I'm not trying to demean anybody. I want you guys to be clear that if you do not understand that this is fraudulent, that this is a scam, then that has more to do with you than it has to do with anybody else. It ain't got nothing to do with Umar Johnson. If you can't see through this bullshit, something is wrong with you. There's a level of naivety too. I think there's a level of denial, an extreme level of denial that happens, especially those who support people, and then they find out that the people that they support are not who they really say. These people are taking advantage. And it's hard to admit that sometimes, that you have been scammed. It's hard to admit that you've been bamboozled, you've been hoodwinked, you've been led astray. Okay, y'all hear me on that? It's hard to admit that sometimes. But at this point in the quote unquote game, if you don't understand what the manipulation is and what the scam is, that's on you. Now, if you're newer to Umar Johnson, okay, I can understand that. But if you've been on this little bandwagon here for a year, at the very least a year, you should know better by now. If you've been on it for 2 years, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Buyer beware. If you've been on board 3, 4, 5 years, okay, now you really, and we're not even talking about personally in terms of his personal lifestyle. We're not even really getting into that. That's a whole nother issue for a whole nother time. We're talking about his scamming techniques, his perpetuation of fraud, which is a criminal activity, the wire fraud, the affinity fraud, the manipulative techniques. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to insult anybody. If you don't get it, that's on you. Now, I want to share a couple of things from that. And this is a more recent video. I want to share a couple of things that really struck out to me in terms of it really just kind of, I was like, okay, wow, I see what he's doing here. One of the things that he did from the beginning was he really oversold the project. I remember there's videos where he's saying, we're going to teach people how to float ships. We're going to teach them how to fly planes. We're going to teach them agriculture and earth sciences. I mean, the amount of bullshit, it was just so over the top. And so oftentimes what happens to for the con artists, what they have to do is they have to oversell. They have to present you something that almost seems like a miracle. Wow, this right here, this would have to be the most perfect. See, some of y'all think, okay, I'm going to say it. Some of y'all think I'm bullshitting about the floating ships. No, I'm not. This is his own words. I don't have the clip with me here. This is one of those earlier videos. I remember seeing him trying to sell the school. What I mean by selling the school, selling the idea like a salesman, you want people to buy into it. And really, when I say buy into it, you want them to contribute, you want them to donate, you want them to, so you make these outlandish claims. You also set up this dynamic of fear. You want the single black mother to be fearful about her son, and fearful about the public school, and fearful about what? Special ed. Because special ed, if you're in the public school, somehow it is the gateway to being put into the prison industrial complex, the school to prison pipeline. So you don't want to do that. But if they do need those types of special services, my school is going to provide it. Y'all see the scheme and the scam? You instill fear in your victim so that ultimately they want to support you, because the promise that you're giving to them is they perceive the promise to be a solution, but the promise that goes unfulfilled is nothing more than a lie. See, that's where the manipulation in the game comes in, because he had never had any, and I agree with Anti-Fringali on this point, that he never had any intention of actually building a school. That was just the means and mechanism to where he can tap into to people's financial finances. That's what it comes down to. But within that, the manipulative technique is to instill this level of fear into his supporters, so that they will be more inclined to support, because they're ultimately supporting someone who is actually going to, in their minds, at least as a scam goes, this person is going to create something that is going to be a solution to the fear that I have. It's going to be a solution to the problems that he's suggesting that my black boy is going to have to deal with while he's dealing in the public school. You see how this game works? Think about that for a moment. So that's why he had to oversell. We're going to teach them how to fly planes. We're going to teach them how to float ships. In other words, how to be out at sea and be on boats, that kind of thing. How you going? I mean, so I'm bringing this up is because the oversell, and the reason why the oversell is important to recognize is because it gets very outlandish at a certain point. It almost becomes impossible. And so why this particular clip that I just played for you is so interesting is one of the interesting aspects of this is that he refers to the school and he says what? He says it also has animals. Okay. What does, okay, it has animals. Okay. And what does that have to, okay, but because it has animals, this is the school. I feel really good about this school. You see the oversell? He also says we have the money. Well, if you have the money, then why didn't you purchase the school already? At least the property. Why haven't you done that after all these years? Why not? People in the chat room say, yeah, he has llamas and goats and tigers and bears. Oh my. Dinosaurs. Someone said dinosaurs. Can you imagine? I mean, at a certain point, you have to become even more vague, and after certain people be like, okay, this is a bunch of bullshit. You start making up all kinds of stuff. Look, we're gonna have dinosaurs, we're gonna have chinchillas, we're gonna have sharks. These sharks are gonna ride on scooters. I'm sorry. We're gonna have us a circus. It's going to be called the Big Papa Circus. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the Big Papa Circus. I'm sorry, people. I can't help it. I mean, I didn't mean, I told myself I wouldn't do that. I told myself I would just stay on task. Hey, man. Hey, man. Where you going this weekend? Yeah, man, I got some tickets, bro. You got some tickets? Where you going? I'm going to the Big Papa Circus. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, my stomach hurts. Okay. I'm sorry. I remember when I heard him say that it has animals, I just lost it. I remember I said, did he just say this school has animals? Why? Okay. Okay, I need to take a second to get myself together. I apologize because I told myself I wasn't going to do that. But my goodness, some of this stuff is so outlandish and outrageous that I can't control myself. Give me 1 second. I'm going to play this clip again, and this will give me a moment just to have a sip of tea and get myself together. Okay, here we go.
Peace and love, Black family. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. Brothers and sisters, I just wanted to take this moment to tell you that today was a very, very good day in the history of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to point something out. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll go just step by step here. He said this is an important day in the history. What history? There is no history because there is no school. It's a phantom school. This is a myth. It's like Santa Claus. That's like saying, you know, in the history of Santa Claus, wait a minute, what do you mean? Tangible history? Are you talking about mythological? What are we talking about here? See, people, I want you to understand, even that is a manipulative technique. He's proposing that something exists and that it has a history because it exists, but it actually doesn't exist. See, this is the media see, media uses these type of techniques all the time to basically manipulate people. Okay. And I've been studying this type of thing for a long time. I've done a lot of work dealing with media manipulation. I've done a lot of work. Okay. And there's specific techniques and tactics that are used. This is an aspect of mind control. So if you suggest to people, look, in the history of, see, when you say there's a history, that somehow suggests that it actually exists, and it's been existing for some time now. And that's why it has a history. But how can something, yes, baby. Okay, that's fine. Can you warm me up some tea, baby? Okay, thank you. But there is no history. So and it doesn't exist. So how can there be a history? See, I can tell y'all right now, you know, in the history of unicorns, there was a white unicorn, there was a pink unicorn, there was a brown unicorn named Molly. There was a red unicorn named Samson. And the golden unicorn's name was Becky. And all of the history of these unicorns, the history of a unicorn, what do you mean a history of a unicorn? There is no history, no real history, because there are no unicorns, but there is no school. You guys understand what I'm saying here? So keep that in mind, because Umar Johnson does that quite often. He'll phrase things as if these things exist. He'll phrase it in a manner and in a way as if these things actually exist, when in point of fact, these things don't exist. Let's go back. I want to play that again.
Peace and love, Black family. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr. Umar Johnson. Brothers and sisters, I just wanted to take this moment to tell you that today was a very, very good day in the history of the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey RBG International Leadership Academy for Pan-African Excellence. I visited a campus today that I was very impressed with. It reminded me so much of the original campus that we tried to secure, the St. Paul's College. This campus, brothers and sisters, is a residential campus complete with 5 buildings, dozens of acres, agriculture, gardening, animals, everything we want to do, we can do here, brothers and sisters.
Okay, did you guys hear the oversell? Gardening, animals, there's everything that we can do here. You guys hear the oversell? Okay, that's part of the manipulative technique. All right. People do that all the time. You know, people, the used car salesman, he has to oversell. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be real with it. You know, back in the day, the brothers that be dealing the drugs, they have to oversell on a certain level in order to make that profit or to make a better profit. Y'all know the game. Okay, Umar Johnson uses the same techniques. He's been doing it for a long time. Okay, these are his own words too, by the way. All right, let's continue.
I love it. It reminds me of the St. Paul's College. And the good news is we have the amount of money that's being requested. Now, there's other parties who are also interested in purchasing this.
Okay, so he just admitted that he has the money that is required to purchase. But then later he says that a bid needs to be put in. Okay, so which one is it? You understand what I'm saying? But then another thing in terms of being vague, he has to infuse this notion that other people are bidding as well, because that's his out. You guys understand what I'm saying here? That's his way of when nothing actually transpires. See, the idea is I want to get people riled up because I'm about to buy this school. I'm about to write the first check, so forth and so on. But there's other people who are bidding on it too. You understand what I'm saying? So the idea is you can oversell and you can suggest that somehow you're going to buy the school, but then you also must infuse this notion that there are also other people who are interested and they're going to be putting in bids, so that when nothing actually comes out of this, and nothing has, you can simply say, well, I was outbid. Someone else got the property. Isn't that interesting? See, this is what I mean by the habitual liar. He comes up with all types of schemes. And see, for some people, they'll accept that. But see, what happens is so many people, more and more people are waking up. They may have accepted it, let's say 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But at this time, after we've gone through all this whole process and nothing has come of any of the promises that he has made, a lot of people are like, at this point, no, look, you've already been lying already. At this point, you've become a habitual liar. So I can't believe anything that you have to say, including this notion that he's about to put this bid in and that there's these other people who are also going to be bidding. Okay, but it's interesting that he says that he has the money. Well, if you have the money for that school, you would probably have the money for another school someplace else. Why don't you just go and buy that school? And you could have done that now. You could have done that a month ago. You could have done that a year ago. You could have, because you've been collecting all this money from black people, for all of these years.
Campus, so I'm going to have to put a bid in, and they will as well. But I feel very good about our chances, given the donations that you all have given me, and I want to thank.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But this is good because what he's about to say next is important for you guys to remember, and that is he says that I want to thank my donors. Okay, and I want to point something out. The truth is that he doesn't really care about his donors, and I'm going to pull up that audio in just a moment. I'll play that in just a moment. I'm pulling it up on inside my other browser right now. Okay, here, let me do
love the original campus that we tried, that I was very impressed with. It reminded me so much of the original campus that we tried to secure, the St. Paul's College. This campus, brothers and sisters, is a residential campus complete with 5 buildings, dozens of acres, agriculture, gardening, animals, everything we want to do, we can do here, brothers and sisters. I love it. It reminds me of the St. Paul's College. And the good news is we have the amount of money that's being requested. Now, there's other parties who are also interested in purchasing this campus. So I'm going to have to put a bid in, and they will as well. But I feel very good about our chances, given the donations that you all have given me. And I want to thank all of my donors who have been loyal to Dr. Umar and to our young men and to the FDMG crusade over the past 4 years. I want to thank you, because I believe that this will be our school. I believe that tomorrow's eclipse is nothing but the approval, the divine approval that this is the.
Okay, let me just point out. He says that I believe, and he keeps saying it, he repeats it, I believe, I believe. So that's manipulative. It's not definitive. I believe that this is the school. But on top of that, there's a solar eclipse. So this, taps into the notion of, there's some divine force or divine power out there that's in control of all of this. But because there's a solar eclipse that's taking place, that's how I know it, or at least that's why I believe. That don't even make any sense, people. We're talking about purchasing a property. We're not talking about some sort of magical magician unicorn type of a thing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about simply purchasing a property. But for him to start to say, I believe, the idea is because I believe, you must believe, even though there's no evidence and proof. See, that's the manipulation part. Politicians use that type of thing too. In fact, there are politicians, they'll use that term, that phrase as their campaign slogan. I believe. See, I don't want to get too deep in this, but even the term, when people get into I believe or I believe, there's a sense of euphoria that comes over a person because you're tapping into the imagination. And see, I think that's the manipulative technique. The idea is, look, it doesn't have to be tangible. It doesn't have to be real. There's a history to this school, even though there is no school, but it doesn't have to be real. You simply have to believe because I believe. Y'all see the game?
Place with a Frederick Douglass, but the approval, the divine approval that this is the place where the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy will be. Sunday, I'm going to talk more about this. Suffolk, Virginia, 4 o'clock. Temple Beth El, Sunday, July 15th, Virginia, come on out. It was in Virginia where we began the school hunt. It was in Virginia where we tried to get St. Paul's College. And so here we are, 4 years later, by divine design, the night before the first eclipse of the summer. And
by divine design, the night before the first eclipse. I mean, what is this becoming in at this point as he's selling this? What is he attempting to do as a manipulative technique? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what he's attempting to do is to take this out of the realm of the natural and put it into the realm of the supernatural. But see, when you put it in, as he puts it into the realm of the supernatural, it suggests that it's actually out of his control in a sense. And therefore, if it doesn't pan out, it's not his fault. It's the result of divine will, as it were. You see the game? And he does this all the time too. Okay, he'll start talking about Ifa, or he'll start talking about the Netaru, or he'll start talking about Shango, or he'll start, and he goes on and on and on. But this is just a manipulative technique, not only to tap into different people's spiritual beliefs or maybe their religion or what have you, but also to set up this dynamic of euphoric kind of atmosphere where the levels of responsibility, he absolves himself of responsibility, and he places the responsibility into the hands of a higher authority, or at least a perceived higher authority, including a solar eclipse. Okay, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is 2018. You guys understand what I'm saying when I say that this is 2018? And if you think that somehow because there's a solar eclipse, that's what's going to ultimately allow you somehow to purchase a school or to put a bid into a school, and that's why you believe that this is the right, that's a whole nother thing. And this is the type of person you want to send your son to or your daughter to be educated so that they can stay with him in the dorms.
we have 3 eclipses coming by divine design. I'm coming back to the 7 cities of Virginia where this all began 4 years ago. And I'm going to talk more about this situation, this new school, putting the bid in. I'm going to put the deposit. I'll be writing the first ever check. After 4 years, I will be writing the first ever FDMG check so that I will be allowed to bid on.
Okay, so he has to write a check. That, as the story goes, he has to write a check to be able to bid. Okay, even if that is true, whatever happened to this whole situation? Why didn't we get an update afterwards? Even if it was an update to say, look, okay, you know, I didn't get the bid, or I didn't write the check, or it fell through, or maybe the eclipse didn't work this time. Whatever, whatever the excuse may be, why not come back and actually say something and just to let people know? But this gets back to the issue of no accountability. There's been so many different lies that have been told over the last 8 years about this fictitious school, this phantom school, this My Little Pony school, this unicorn university, as it were. There's been so many lies that have been told that at this point he tells lies, and even after he tells a lie, he doesn't even feel compelled to actually come back and at least give an explanation to like justify what he said. And see, the problem is that people aren't thinking critically enough to at least ask the question, okay, whatever happened to that? And see, if you, even on his Instagram page, he's posted stuff like, it looks like, and see, there it is again, the being vague. It looks like I'm about to write the first check for the FVDMG Academy. And he posts that, there's no context whatsoever, and he never follows up with it. Y'all see the game? This is, just stringing people along, and it goes on and on and on ad infinitum.
On this property, brothers and sisters, keep us in your prayers, keep our young men in your prayers, keep FDMG in your prayers. But I feel better about this property than any other property we've seen. I said I feel better about this potential FDMG site than any other property.
Okay, I just want to mention something else. Again, he gets back into the I believe, and that again creates this sense of euphoria in people. And again, when you get into that sense of euphoria, or you become euphoric, it compromises your intellectual process. You don't ask critical questions anymore. It's about emotionalism and this is a manipulative technique. It's about emotionalism as opposed to intellectualism. But what else was fascinating too? I just wanted to just point out something else. What else was fascinating about what he just said? Let me play it again. I want you to see if anyone picks it up. Here we go.
Property than any other property we've seen. I said I feel better about this potential FDMG site than any other property that we have seen. I think.
Yeah, did y'all notice what he did there? Because he does this often. What did he do? He repeated what he said. And you'll often hear him do this. He'll make a statement, and usually he'll actually repeat it 3 times. And this is a manipulative technique too. Politicians do this all the time. Politicians do this all the time. Politicians do this all the time. You know, sometimes all you have to do is repeat things over and over again. You repeat a lie over and over again, and people begin to believe. There we go again. They begin to what? Believe. And he does this all the time, people. It's a manipulative technique. So on top of, not only are you overselling the school, you're going to have animals, you're going to have agriculture, you're going to be floating ships, but because it's all so outlandish, and it's just been so many lies that's been told over the years. And we're getting close to a decade almost now. So many lies have been told that at this point, it's necessary for him to repeat. He has to repeat over and over again, because a lot of people wouldn't accept it otherwise. It has to be repeated. And you guys watch how he does this all the time. Y'all can go back into any old YouTube video from him, and you listen to him long enough, and you'll see how he'll do that. He'll use that technique of repetition. Repetition is a means of mind control. The more you repeat any given thing, it doesn't matter what it is, the more a person will receive it. Now, in some cases, people may have a level of intellectual defense against that type of program, or in some cases, subconsciously, they know how to protect their subconscious mind from the repetition. But many people, impressionable people, they can be very easily influenced. And at this point, you know, if you've been kind of supporting Umar Johnson for the last 2 years or a year, throughout all of the lies and all of the scandals over the last 3 or 4 years, all the lies and all the scandals and all the promises, the broken promises, all of the beefing with other so-called black leaders, you really need to take a critical look at your own mentality at this point. This isn't insulting. I just want you guys to really think about this, that how is it that we can allow anyone to create and to perpetrate this level of fraud for this long of a period of time and continue to support them? Again, it's okay to admit that you have been duped. It's okay to admit that you've been lied to. It's okay to admit that someone has committed fraud against you, that they've conned you. It's okay to admit that. You admit it and you move on. And in some cases, you admit it and then you go through the proper legal channels to get some sort of restitution on this. But at this point, he must repeat. He must repeat. He must repeat, because far too many people have waken up to his scamming. We're almost done too, by the way.
This is the one, brothers and sisters. I am happy. I want you to be happy with me, but I can't announce.
Okay, wait a minute. I want to stop before we do that last part. First, he says, I'm happy. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? That is to exhibit a level of excitement to make you believe, here we go again, that he's excited because he's about to make this major move. But didn't he say he was going to make a major move in 2017, in 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013? But I'm happy. I want you to be happy too, with me. Okay, so come on, family. I'm happy, euphoric, right? And you be happy with me. See, the idea is, again, to present an oversell, tap into people's emotions, be happy with me. And the idea is this will compel people to donate to this phantom school that does not exist. The last part too is very revealing. Let's play that last part.
Piece of FDMG site than any other property that we have seen. I think this is the one, brothers and sisters. I am happy. I want you to be happy with me, but I can't announce where it is and what it is until
I can't announce where it is and what it is. Okay, this is what happens when you habitually lie. And this whole audio clip, and it's longer than what I played here, he lies throughout. But he can't tell you where it is and what it is. What do you mean what it is? Isn't it a school? You already said that. What do you mean what it is? See, he told the first lie and he backed up the first lie with another lie. I can't tell you where it is. Well, you can't tell us where it is because you're lying in the first place. You're not putting in a bid. That's why you're not telling us where it is. Because if you told us where it was, now it puts us in an empowered position where we can make a couple of phone calls. We can go on Google and search, and then we can look up and find a phone number to call and say, hey, look, is that property for sale? Are you accepting bids for that property right now? Or even after, maybe you call up, or maybe a month later, did anyone buy that property? Oh, someone did. Oh, no one didn't. Okay, well then you should expect Umar to come up with some sort of an excuse, right? He hasn't said anything else about this. Or if it was purchased, you can ask, okay, well, can you tell us who actually purchased it? Is that public information? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. If it is, what if they said it was Umar Johnson? Okay, well, great. But see, Umar would have to put you in an empowered position. And that's how the scam works. It's always to put your viewer, the follower, the supporter in a disempowered position. That's why he never tells you how much money he's collected. That puts you in a disempowered position. He doesn't tell you the status in terms of the legal status of the school. He doesn't tell you that. What do I mean by that too, by the way? Is it registered? Is it registered? And does it have a name and account associated with the school? No, at this point, no. Is there's a nonprofit? No. The nonprofit status has been revoked. Anti-Afro Scholars have already pointed out that, and you guys can research that online. It's all out there. But he won't tell you that, because if he puts that out there and he tells his audience that, then it puts his audience in a more empowered position to make a decision. Okay, am I going to continue to support this fraud or not? But what he says here is, I don't know where it is, or I can't tell you where it is. No, he can tell you where it is if it was actually a place. But the truth is that there is no place. That's why he can't tell you. But the other thing is that if he gave you a name, then you can do your research and you'll figure out very shortly after you make a couple of phone calls that he was lying in the first place. So what he's doing, he's telling an initial lie, but instead of finishing up with that initial lie, he comes with another lie that actually reveals that everything is a lie. I can't tell you where it is, and I can't tell you what it is. Why can't you tell us what it is? You're going to tell us it has animals. You're going to tell us that, it has a place for a garden. It has this, it has that, but you can't tell us it's a school. But now you can't tell us what it is. See, that's what happens when people get into this circular pattern of lying. They can't stop themselves. And that's precisely what he's doing here as he's seeking to oversell. I don't know. I can't tell you where it is, and I can't tell you what it is. Did y'all catch that? I'll play it one more time and we're almost done. I think we got one more after this. Here we go.
FDMG Warminster and FDMG.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Let me pull it up here.
Peace and check so that I will be in prayers. But I feel better about this property than any other property we've seen. I said I feel better about this potential FDMG site than any other property that we have seen. I think this is the one, brothers and sisters. I am happy. I want you to be happy with me, but I can't announce where it is and what it is until we have sealed the deal.
Okay. So what has happened since? Has he come back to tell people what actually happened after he supposedly put in this deposit so that he can bid? Has he given any reference to it after all these months? No, absolutely not. And the reason why is because it was a lie in the first place. Okay, if you guys don't, at this point, if you don't see the game, okay, you really need to take a critical look at yourself. Okay, because we can blame on Umar Johnson all day, but I think at a certain point, unless you're someone who's just gotten on board with Umar Johnson, maybe you just discovered him and you don't know much about his background, you don't know about all the other things that he's been involved with and all the other lies and all the other controversies and all the other scandals, and I can understand that to a degree. But for those of y'all who are aware of all of this, I think at this point, you need to really, and you still want to support him. And it's totally up to you. I mean, it's totally up to you. I think this is more of a public service announcement to people so that people can at least be in a position to make the appropriate decision as to protecting themselves and protecting their wallets, protecting their children, even to a degree. You know, I saw this one video of Umar, and he's doing an at-home, quote-unquote, at-home consultation with this single black mother, and her daughter is there, and she's having problems in school, and it was totally unprofessional, it's unethical. And he's sitting up there with no shoes on. He's sitting up on the couch, and he has a very aggressive stance and a very aggressive tone, totally disrespectful to the household. And he's talking to this single black mother, and the most troubling part to me when I saw it. It was just cringeworthy. Is he goes about this process of doing this consultation for like an hour, and for the whole time, the daughter is put in a position where she has to hold the phone standing up and stay there and stand there and hold the phone and to record the whole session. And the session is supposed to be to the benefit of the daughter. This man will do anything for money. This man will do anything for sex. And to have this little girl hold this phone, and the whole time he's talking about her to the mama. Okay, there's something else I want to do, because I have the video here queued up, and what I'm going to do is I want to play something here, because I want you guys to be aware of the fact that the people who support Umar Johnson, he may at times say things like, you know, I want to thank my supporters, but he doesn't care about you all. And I want to give you guys an excellent example of this in terms of the mentality that he has. It's more about the money. It's not about you. So let me do this. I'm going to cue this up. I'm going to start playing it, and then I'm going to have to skip towards the video. I just know that it does come in towards the end of the video. So let me just see if I can find it. Y'all just bear with me as I do this. Here we go.
And you playing the national champions. This year, Harry's little, all the collective ancestors lie on you and forget you black. Public schools were started to teach your own body for a minute. Foster parents.
Okay. I don't think it's this. I think it's in part 1. Okay, so let me pull up part 1. Here we go.
I want them to know why. I would rather put my child in a dilapidated one-room schoolhouse with a black teacher who can than put them in the prettiest school in Nevada with a bunch of non-African teachers who can't stand them. Nutritional science for that student said, I want that little boy back there.
Okay,
not.
Here we go.
The United States government created that.
Okay, y'all let me know if the audio is coming through. Here we go right here. It's going to be a couple of minutes, but I think this is important to share at this point. And then I think we have 2 more shorter clips, and then we'll close out. Here we go.
Hispanic ain't nothing but a black person who speaks Spanish who don't want to be the hell black. Puerto Ricans are just as African as the rest of us, but they don't want to be. They got a light skin supremacy problem.
Okay, Umar also tends to kind of promote division amongst all groups of people, but also divisions amongst black people based upon skin color. Okay, so that's one of his major issues, is colorism.
Cubans too. My great grandfather Cuban, I know all about them too. Don't want to be black. So y'all got it twice out here. Y'all got the white folk, and then y'all got the brown folk who want to be like the white folk. And they earn their brownie points by stepping on your back. But yet you want to have a multicultural coalition. You're crazy as hell. Those people don't like you no more than white folks do. That's right. They just as racist. You ain't got nobody but yourself. Stop trying to line up with all these other people of color thinking they're going to help you. They can't stand you. They came to America to replace you.
Okay, here we go.
Now, we also going to teach your children dietary and nutritional science. I want our children to be masters of healing the body without no pharmaceuticals from the drugstore. I want that little boy back there, if mommy not feeling well, he can go out to the yard, get some herbs, boil it, put a little honey in it, little cayenne pepper, and knock mommy flu right on out. I want them to be able to heal diabetes. 10 years old, and they know how to heal diabetes. That's what I want in my school.
You see the oversell?
That's what we're working towards.
You see what he's doing?
So far, we raised $250,000. I'm gracious, but I'm not content. Because I know y'all got a lot more to give me than some $250,000. When Darren Wilson killed Michael Brown, white folks gave him $300,000 in 3 weeks for his defense. And Dr. Umar Johnson is trying to build a state-of-the-art school for black boys that y'all all know I need. And after 6 months, I only got $250,000. Trifling ass black people. I'm gonna call it like I say it.
And I don't care if you get offended. We can handle that outside. We trifling. I should have been had that $2 million. I should have had that $2 million 30 days after I started the fundraiser on May the 20th. It don't make no sense. But y'all sure call me up when the school's messing with your son. Did you make a donation to my school? Oh, not yet. Bye. Click. That's the new Umar. You want some help with your son? Did I get a donation? No, I want to hear that. Mail the donation, then you call me back, and then I'll help you with your son. But you're not going to use me to fight white folks when your son shouldn't even have to put up with them in the first place.
Before we continue, and thank you, Anti-African guy. I'll put those up in just a moment. I want you guys to just be aware of his general tone. He's talking to black people. Okay, he's talking to his supporters. Very aggressive, very demeaning, very demoralizing. He's putting black people in a subservient position. See, this is the manner in which true white supremacists, historically speaking, have spoken against or spoken towards black people in the same type of tone, the same type of aggression to put people in their place. Umar Johnson uses the same technique. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't necessarily care about black people, and he doesn't necessarily care about his supporters. It's all about the money. Let's continue.
We're trying to buy the St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia. Still available. I was in communication with the president about 3 days ago. He told me the school's still an option. But now they're trying to sell the school into pieces. Now they're trying to sell the student center. If they sell that student center, I don't even want the rest of the school no more, because the student center is the best thing on the campus. Day before yesterday, I was in Port Gibson, Mississippi. The NAACP invited me down there because they have a school for sale, Chamberlain Hunt White Military Academy. Nice school too. It's not as big as St. Paul's, but it'll work. But I'm just hoping y'all help me raise this $2 million before somebody buy them schools. That's what I'm hoping. Okay? So if you need the information to mail in a check or donation, if you brought a check or money or to make it payable to FDMG Academy.
Okay, I'm not going to allow for the address simply because this is illegal. You know, this is illegal. It's a scam. It's fraudulent. Someone had posted, no, well, it's a GoFundMe. What they say, it's a crowdfunding that didn't actually pan out, and that's why it's not scamming. It's not fraudulent. No, well, if we're going to use that logic, then why is he still collecting money? And if we're going to use that illogic, let me be very specific. If we're going to be willing to use that level of illogic, then why is he's collected not only money, continues to collect money, not only from Indiegogo or through crowdfunding means, meaning through crowdfunding sites such as Indiegogo, but in this case, GoFundMe. Why is he also collecting and has collected money through PayPal and continues to do so? And then now he's using something else. I think it's called Cash App or something to that effect. I'm not sure exactly what the title is. If this is a failed crowdfunding campaign, why is he still collecting money? And why is he still promising people that he's going to build a school? Stop with the making of the excuses. Black people, stop it. It's illogical. You have to be logical and rational in these regards. Defending people like this, it's not only irrational, but it also allows for the continued perpetuation of abuse within the community, within our communities by black people. We want white people to do right by us, but we can't hold ourselves accountable, and we'll make excuses for scammers and fraudsters. We'll make all types, and these excuses are so illogical. The levels of illogic is baffling. Stop making excuses, people. Here we go.
Make sure your name, address, and phone number is on your donation. I really don't want cash. I prefer to have a paper trail with your donation.
Okay, he said that, and actually he would prefer to have cash. He's just saying that to legitimize this whole scam. Because what's the point in saying I prefer not to have cash? Why even say that? Well, you're saying that because that's really what you want. Sometimes a liar will tell the truth. Habitual liars tell the truth sometimes. It's just they say that the truth, but they'll use it and they'll say it. They'll say the opposite of what they really mean to say. You have to be able to hear what they're saying, and if it doesn't make sense, but just like we were talking about earlier when he said, "Look, I can't tell you where it is, and I can't tell you what it is." Okay, no, what you're saying is that you're lying on both counts. So right here where he says, you know, I would prefer not to have cash. No, what he really means to say is I would prefer to have cash because I don't want to have a paper trail. See, if he really cared about having a paper trail, then he would have been out front and letting people know how much money was coming in and how much money he had raised all throughout the process, which he should have done. There's no transparency if he really cared about a paper trail. You see, but he preferred not to have a paper trail. Let's continue.
If you got to make it cash, you need to put it in a piece of paper, wrap it up. Do not give me raw cash.
Okay, what do you mean? So if you have to make it cash, okay, but I thought you just said that you would prefer not to have that. But if you have to, make sure you wrap it up. What?
Put it in a piece of paper with your name, your phone number, your email address on it.
Okay, so put it in a piece of, what's going on here? Put it in a piece of paper and put your name, your email, your social security number. I mean, okay, all right.
Why? Because when we finally open up that school, everybody who helped me, whether they gave me $1 or $1 million, I want to make sure they get properly honored. We're going to have an honorary ceremony for the people who cared enough to help me build that school. I need everybody in here to come up with $1 amount that you can afford to mail every month, and you mail it. I don't care if it's $10, $20, $50. You come up with what you can afford and you send me that. I'm getting sick and tired of getting texts on my cell phone for black folk talking about I've donated like they done. You gave me $25 damn and you think you free now. We got to raise $2 million. Your ass ain't done. I better get some more and some more and some more and some more until we hit the goal, brothers and sisters. That's the way we're going to have to do this.
Okay, he also has a sense of entitlement too, but I think that's tied to issues with narcissistic personality disorder, or at least aspects of it. Okay, but I'm not here and I'm not qualified to make those types of assessments. But from my vantage point, he's very entitled. He feels like that people should and they must. Okay, so I wanted to point this out because it illustrates, and just look at his tone. I need some more and some more, very demanding and overbearing. See, he doesn't care so much. He doesn't care. I'm just going to be real about it. He doesn't care about human beings. He doesn't see human beings as, being deserving of human respect. He just sees human beings as resources. That's all. And so long as he can get money out of you, then, okay, he will give the illusion that somehow he cares and he'll keep making the promises. But he's been making the promise of this phantom schools back since 2010, ladies and gentlemen. And here we are 8 years into this fraudulent enterprise, and he's still asking for money. He's still trying to get people to give him money. He's going overseas to try to get other demographics of people to give him money. Stop making excuses for this type of behavior, ladies and gentlemen. See, if this is a failed project, then he should stop asking for money. He should stop taking people's money. He should stop promoting this fraudulent school that does not exist. There was a point, ladies and gentlemen, where he was selling pillows, FDMG pillows. That's when I knew. I'm going to speculate here. Okay, this is my second speculation. I'm going to speculate here. I prefaced it. That's when I knew that the money that he had collected up to that point was already gone. Because if you're reduced to selling pillows, FDMG pillows that look horrific too, by the way, you're reduced to selling pillows and hats online for a school that does not exist, the money is gone. Y'all remember those pillows too, by the way? I'm going to say something else. I was embarrassed as a black man. I was embarrassed when I saw him doing that. I was so embarrassed. Selling FDMG pillows and hats, and the pillows look so horrible, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot tell you, it was atrocious. And he's sitting up there trying to get people to buy pillows. Okay, Anti-Swingali, I think you had also posted another timestamp, and if you can post it again, simply because I forgot to actually copy and paste it. Let me see if I can scroll up here real quickly. Okay, I see the initial one. Let me scroll down just a little bit more. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, so the 45-minute and 21-second mark. Let me go there, and we'll see what we have there. Here we go.
7 hours straight. A lady can do that because she has estrogen. She doesn't have testosterone. And it's even difficult for girls.
But girls are socialized to be inactive. Boys are socialized to be active. Not to mention that African children come from a rhythmic culture that prizes activity while you learn. We learn better when we moving around. We learn better when we can conversate in dialogue. That's our culture. But when you go to school, you're just supposed to sit there and be lectured to for 7 hours straight. And if you can't sit still, you have a problem. You see what they've done? They're blaming the children for what the schools don't do. They're blaming the children for what the schools don't do. That's the problem with school. Black boy wants to learn. Black boy wants an education, but he don't want to be castrated in the process. He don't want to be disrespected, impugned, and denigrated by racist white female teachers and reactionary black female teachers. Let me not leave out the Negroes. Because I'll be honest, most of the time I'm fighting for our children, I'm fighting black principles, not white ones.
Okay, I want to point, and thank you for sharing this too, Anti-African Bengali, because I think this illustrates another important point. Umar, when he talks about black people, it's very derogatory most of the time. His tone is very aggressive, and it's very demeaning and very disrespectful. So now he's also suggesting that somehow he's fighting more so with black principals as opposed to white. Well, what school system are you? Because how many black principals are out there? And he's always talking about how it's dominated by white people, but somehow for the luck of the draw, you're mainly dealing with black principals somehow. Okay, he's lying basically. You guys understand what I'm saying here? Okay, I'll let it here. Here we go.
And I'm fighting black principals who came from the same ghettos as the children that they're supposed to be helping.
Okay, one other thing too I want to say here, and that is that Umar Johnson is very verbally abusive towards black people, extremely abusive towards black people. And the reason why I'm bringing that up right now is because at the end of this slideshow presentation, I know we've kind of gone off on a bit of a tangent. I didn't expect this to happen. But at the end of this, I'm going to share with you all two YouTube pages. One is Anti-African Bengali, but there's another YouTube page I want to encourage everyone to check out. And there's a particular video I want to encourage you all to check out on that particular YouTube page because it illustrates the psychological dynamics that are present in Umar in terms of his behavior. Psychology and behavior is an aspect of psychology, of course. But the point is that there is a reason why Umar behaves this way, and it's not uncommon online with these internet-based leaders. In point of fact, a lot of the turmoil that happens in the so-called black consciousness community is based upon these types of interactions wherein you have mainly black males who are so-called in leadership positions, and they take on this ultra-masculine, aggressive tone towards their own people and are extremely abusive towards their own people. And oftentimes what they do is they get their quote following to participate in that type of behavior. And it becomes what has been termed as black on black cybercrime. This is some deep stuff. I'm going to share that with you, that video with you guys at the end of this particular presentation. I want you guys to check that out when you have some time. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
I'm giving it to you real. I'm a principal myself.
Here we go with the principal bullshit.
Even when I was principal, I had to fight black parents.
Okay, so initially he says, I'm a principal as if he is a principal in the moment. But then he says, what? Did you guys catch that? Here, I'll play it again.
Teachers and reactionary black female teachers. Let me not leave out the Negroes. You can get $700 a month. I was principal. I had to fight black parents. I want my son tested, Dr. Teachers and reactionary black female teachers. Let me not leave out the Negroes.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's something else I want to point out. He also has a very negative view about black women. And that's why he's pointing out and he's using disparaging remarks about black women teachers.
Because I'll be honest, most of the time I'm fighting for our children, I'm fighting black principals, not white ones.
Okay, did you see how he stated that? He stated that as if that's something that he's doing in the moment at this time in his quote unquote principal, in his quote unquote career. Okay, I don't know if it's as a principal or as a school psychologist or who knows. Okay, but you see how he actually stated as if it's something that he's doing right now. But then after that, what does he say?
And I'm fighting black principals who came from the same ghettos as the children that they're supposed to be helping. I'm giving it to you real. I'm a principal myself.
I am a principal, as if he's a principal in the moment. You guys understand? Now check this out.
Even when I was principal, I had to fight black parents.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened there? Remember I told you all habitual liars? They'll tell an initial lie, but then they'll tell another lie that actually disproves the initial lie. I want you guys to remember that. See, these are some very subtle intricacies, but these are the types of things that I recognize. I see this in people all the time, all the time. So how can you be talking, you're saying that I am this, and then in the next sentence you say, when I was that. You say, I am this, I am this. You know what? I am a black man. And as a black man, when I do this, I do that. I am a black man. When I was a black man, what? I am a carpenter. And because I'm a carpenter, I know how to change carpets and I know how to do carpentry work. I am a carpenter. When I was a carpenter, okay, wait a minute. What do you mean? You can't be something and not be something at the same time. So either one of those things is a lie or both of those things are a lie. Okay. Very subtle. Many of you didn't pick up on that, but he does this all the time because he's a habitual liar. Okay. Here we go.
I want my son tested, Dr. Johnson. For what? Learning disability. Your son is in the 3rd grade. What do you mean? I think he got a learning. Well, the boy only been in my school for 1 year. In the school he came from, nobody learned. They ain't made AYP since AYP started. So why don't you give me a chance to work with your son? I want him tested. I'm not testing him because there ain't nothing wrong with him. His problem is your trifling ass. Get out my office.
Okay, who is he talking to, by the way? He's talking to, supposedly, he's talking to a black parent. Now, the truth of the matter is that he's probably lying anyway. None of this is probably true, but the fact that he would concoct this type of a story and then issue this story with this type of tone and basically berate and disrespect other black people in the process is quite revealing. So at the very least, if you're going to create a line, you're going to make up this fictitious reality where you're operating as a principal, I guess, or maybe not a principal, based upon the contradictory terms that he's using here. One's present tense, the other past tense. Or maybe you're operating as a school psychologist. We don't know for sure because you don't know for sure. But even still, if you're going to create this false narrative, this lie, and to solidify this sense that somehow you are an expert in a particular field, or that you have these particular experiences, and you have authority in these regards in this particular field of study, or this expertise in this particular field, why wouldn't you just make up a story that is not as demeaning and demoralizing to your own people, unless you already have this predisposition to hate your own people in the first place? Think about it. If you're going to create something, this imaginary scenario, wouldn't you create something that is positive? Why does it have to be negative? Well, it's negative because he has a negative disposition towards black people. And it's in his tone, calling people Negroes. And this is a presentation. This is a lecture, that so-called lecture, aka Hyena Yelp. Okay, right now he's taking a sip of water, and then he continues.
I'm honest with parents.
You hear him drinking the water too? Come on, man. I'm sorry. Here we go.
I joke nothing wrong with him. His problem is your trifling ass. Get out my office. I'm on.
By the way, where is his office? What office is he referring to? He has no office, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's another part of the scams. Here we go.
Honest with parents. I Joe Clark the whole situation. Because you're not going to hustle your baby for me. I know why you really want him tested. You want that check. You want that crazy check. Everybody hustling a crazy check. Even the grown folks hustling a crazy check. Well, I got news for you. Especially my single parent mamas. You playing schizophrenic, getting a psychotic disorder so you can get $700 a month? Guess what's going to happen? The minute that school wants you to put that boy in special ed or on drugs and you don't agree with that school, they're going to call Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services is going to do the research. They're going to find out that you got a psychotic disorder for which you taking medicine. that it ain't real, but you play crazy to get the crazy check. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to come to your house and they're going to threaten you. And they're going to say, put them on the medicine or we taking your children because we've determined that you're not psychologically fit to raise these kids. Now, you're not crazy. You just pimped the system for a check. But because your ass was greedy, they're going to now use you to force you to put your son in special ed on medicine. It happens all over the country. You can't use white supremacy to fight it. It will not fight itself. So y'all need to be careful about that. Now.
Okay. Anti-Svengali, if you're still here, if there's anything else you want to point out in terms of, give me a timestamp or anything like that, you're more than welcome to do so, and I'll go ahead and keep that queued up. But I want to say that this is also the video where he talks about the weave. I don't have the timestamp for that, but he basically berates parents and how the parents have their daughters wearing blonde weave, looking like Beyonce. I don't want them coming home to you. Why would I want them coming home to you for? They're going to stay with me in the dorms. I don't have it queued up, and I don't know where it's at. I'm not going to search for it. But if Anti-Svengali, if you have anything else in terms of from that particular video clip that you want me to outline, just go ahead and post timestamps, and I'll go ahead and play it. Okay, we're almost done here, ladies and gentlemen. I want to go back here again. We've already played the clip that you guys see right now, and I'm going to go to the next clip. The last one was Umar Johnson says he thinks he found a school and will be making a deposit in 2018. This was actually a more recent video. Here's the next one. Umar Johnson says school now is to open in 2019. Y'all see how this is playing out? Here we go.
So I'm saying all that to say, no matter what the outcome, we still gonna fight. Yes, sir. We got a school to build. Yes, sir. Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, 8/21/19.
Okay, so now it's 8/20, not what I think he said, 8/21/19. And another thing too I found fascinating is you hear the people in the audience. Did y'all catch that? Let's listen.
So I'm saying all that to say, no matter what the outcome, we still gonna fight. Yes, sir. We got a school to build. Yes, sir. Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, 8/21/19.
So now he's saying 8/21/19. You guys remember I told you all, this was a while ago, I told you all to remember that other date. Okay, because now we're getting to it. Okay, January 1st, 2018, he's going to have a school location. Let's go to the next clip here. We're almost done. I think this is the last one. Was this the one? Hold on one second. Okay, yeah. Here's the last one right here. Take a listen. Oh, I'm sorry. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Here we go.
Once we build the first school, God willing, we'll have it by New Year's Day. God willing. Once we have the first school, the second school is going to be.
Okay, did you hear what he just said? He says we're going to have it by New Year's Day. He's talking about New Year's Day 2019. That's in about just about almost 2 months. But guess what? He said the same thing a year ago. Now, do you guys see? The same exact thing he said that he's going to act. And this is not the whole, what is it? 8/21. Not that one. We say he's just changing each year. He's just changing it in the same date, but a different year. That's not just that. What I'm talking about is this notion that he's going to actually have a school location. Doesn't mean that the school is going to be built. It doesn't mean that the classes is going to be open. What he's saying is that he's going to have a school location by January 1st, 2019. But he said the same exact thing last year, that he was going to have a school January 1st, 2018. So part of what I'm getting at is how long, I mean, how much longer can we say that it's reasonable to somehow believe that what he's saying is going to come to pass? Or are we at a point in this whole process where we can definitely say, look, this is a scam. He's just lying, and he continues to perpetuate. See, it would be different. I said this before. It would be different if he would just bow out and say, you know what? It's not going to work, people. And I'm just going to refund you your money. Or even if he said, it's not going to work, people, but I don't have all of the money for this reason or that reason. Maybe I spent a little bit because of this or that, and I can only refund people who really want to be refunded. He could bow out that way. But the thing is that The money is not for the school. The money is to support him. It's to support his, you know, he has to be able to pay bills. He has to be able to have a place to stay. He has to be able to, you know, pay for airplane tickets. He has to have, you know, he's living out of motels. He did that for what, almost 2 years? Living out of motels and hotels. That's expensive. He has to pay for food. He has to pay for clothing. All of that. And see, this money, see, that's why when he started selling pillows, that's when I knew that the money, he had already run through the money that he had up to that point. Because you're not going to go from the point where you've done raised 600,000 at that time, somewhere around there, 650,000 as an estimate. No transparency. Let's say 650. Let's just say 500,000 by that point. There, you would not reduce yourself, especially someone like Umar Johnson, to selling pillows. You up here selling. It was so embarrassing too. I mean, I was embarrassed. You wouldn't reduce yourself unless the money was no longer there. But even still, he could simply say, look, if he wanted to try to figure out a way to just get out of this so that he can, you know, basically say, look, okay, I'm not going to scam y'all anymore. He can just say, look, okay, the money's gone for whatever reason. And what I'm going to do is I'm no longer going to be accepting donations for the school. And there is no school too, by the way. Okay, but I'm no longer going to, but the truth of the matter is that he's still seeking to collect money for this phantom school. And not only is he doing that in the United States of America, and he's also committing wire fraud in the process, but now it's international because he's going overseas and doing the same thing. And he's still collecting money. That's called fraud. That's called scamming people. If it wasn't fraudulent, and if it wasn't, you know, someone scamming you, you would actually have something that is tangible, but there is absolutely nothing that is tangible that has come out of this. Nothing for the people, nothing at all. Just a promise that has gone unfulfilled. But a promise that has gone unfulfilled is nothing more than a lie. And the more you continue to make those promises, which we just, in his own words, we've just illustrated that over and over and over again. He makes the promise, he resets the date. Then that means that he's basically making promises that he does not keep. So he's lying over and over and over and over and over again. That's called being a habitual liar. And these con artists, these con men, these scammers, these schemers, they are habitual liars. It's part of what they do in order to continue to scam and to hustle. Let's continue.
Africa. Once we have the first school, the second school.
Okay, I just want to outline. What's interesting about this is not only does he change the date again, but now, because what he was asked, because he's in the UK, what he was asked was, will there be a school in the UK? Something to that effect. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. Okay, so this is his response. I'll let it play straight through this time. Here we go.
Once we build the first school, God willing, we'll have it by New Year's Day. God willing. Once we have the first school, the second school is going to be Africa. Okay.
Okay, hold up. You hear how he said, God willing? Remember we talked about that, trying to take it out of the scope of the natural and put it into the scope of the supernatural? That's the cause ambiguity. So therefore, if it doesn't pan out, he can just blame it on God, or he can blame it on the Orisha, or he can blame it on the Neteru, or he can blame it on the unicorn, or he can blame it on Santa Claus, whatever he wants to blame it on that's outside of himself. You understand what I'm saying? That's why he starts off with that. And you'll hear him saying that a lot. Well, he'll simply say, God willing, or, you know, if it's meant to be, or I believe. Okay, we talked about that earlier. Here we go.
Once we build the first school, God willing, we'll have it by New Year's Day. God willing. Once we have the first school, the second school is going to be Africa. Okay. The third school, I would like to be the United Kingdom. Okay. I'm going to push for that. The problem is the UK government is a much more stringent government to navigate in terms of opening an independent school from the outside. You follow me? But if the Chinese can have a school here, if the Jews can have a school here, if the Arabs can have a school here, then why can't the Africans have a school here? You understand? So the third school, I will look to build it here in the United Kingdom. Good stuff. And to that point, if there's any revolutionary black attorneys out there, I mean revolutionary black, not coons, not Toms, not Negroes, but black barristers.
Okay, let me stop. See, now we're getting into the derogatory terms about his own people. You see, we talked about that earlier. And I've talked about this too. I have a video here on YouTube. I'll encourage everyone to take a listen to it. It's archived here on YouTube, where I talk about the name calling. And oftentimes these so-called internet-based leaders, which are nothing more, they're basically con artists. They spend a great deal of time disrespecting each other, but also disrespecting their audience, disrespecting other black people by calling these black people names like coons, Uncle Toms, bed wenches, skank skeezers, maggots. I mean, the list goes on and on. Thoughts. The list goes on and on and on. Beta males. It goes on and on and on. Umar Johnson is no exception to this. It's abuse. It's all about abuse. So how can we say that we love our people when we treat our people worse than white people treat our people? In fact, you won't hear white people saying those types of using those types of terms, not directly, not to your face. When was the last time you had a white person call you a coon? When was the last time you heard a black person call another black person a coon? Think about it, people. Umar Johnson is no exception in terms of this particular type of behavior. We can continue.
The UK who think progressively and have a Pan-African mindset, I'd like them to get in contact with me to start doing the investigation.
Not time. I need revolutionary black, not coons, not Toms, not Negroes, but black barristers in the UK who think progressively and have a Pan-African mindset. I'd like them to get in contact with me to start doing the investigation into what we got to do to make FDMG London and FDMG Birmingham and FDMG Luton and FDMG Warminster and FDMG Manchester a reality.
Okay, you see the oversell? He's overselling now. Okay, we've already talked about that. He's just coming up with any kind of city that he can find. That's no different than what he does over here in the United States of America. But is there a school in the first place? So not only is he suggesting that there's going to be a school and that he's going to have a location at the beginning of the year, but then he's also suggesting that he's going to build a school in Africa next. But then he suggests I'm going to build I'm going to build a school in the UK. And then he starts to just randomly name off all these different places in the UK. Is it even in the UK? My goodness. This is the oversell. And we've already talked about that. This part of the manipulative technique. You got to make things, you just got to blow things way out of proportion. You got to make it grandiose. And you got to act like you're excited about it. But you know what's interesting is that he only gets excited about the school when he's speaking in a particular location, and he always caters his message in terms of the school to that particular geographical region. And so therefore he will talk about, if he's talking, he's going to be talking, let's say in Baton Rouge, he'll talk about, okay, I'm looking for schools down there in Louisiana right now. And he'll do that. He makes sure that he always makes sure that he does that in advance of going down there to get people riled up. And then it also causes people to want to donate because they feel like, okay, he's going to be coming here. He's looking for schools down here. I want to support because maybe, just maybe, he's going to actually build a school down here. But then maybe he's, a week or really 2 weeks later, maybe a month later, the most requested. Come on, please. Maybe now he's in Seattle. And so he says, I am looking for schools out here on the West Coast too, by the way, in the Northwest. Can you all send me schools? And I'm going to be talking and we're going to be talking and I'm going to be coming out to speak with you all. But he does that because he's trying to tap into that particular geographical region, to tap into the demographic of black folk who would be willing to contribute to his quote unquote ongoing crowdfunding campaign for this fictitious school. Again, this all started at the very least in 2010. We already did that. I showed you guys that earlier. That's when all of this started, at least in terms of based upon my records. It may have started sooner than that. Here we are at least 8 years later. And what has come out of it? And then maybe he then goes to the Bronx or he goes to New York someplace, Brooklyn. Okay, he's talking in Brooklyn. I'm looking for schools right now, in the Brooklyn area. I'm looking for schools in New York City. Send me links, please, family. Send me links. This is part of the scam. See, so part of what I'm getting at is he doesn't necessarily care about black people here in the United States of America or in the UK or in Africa. What he cares about is trying to spin the scam in such a way to where it can be more specific in terms of being directed at particular groups of people within the African diaspora and community, if you will. I don't know if I should say it that way, but I'll say it that way. All right. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, there's let's see, that's the last audio clip. And then I have some links I want to share with you all, and that'll be about it. There's one other thing. Thank you so much, Anti-Afro Svengali. She also sent me some timestamps, and I want to play those timestamps. And this goes back to something that we played before, and we were talking about Umar Johnson and how he is how he treats black people. And in point of fact, how he treats his supporters and how he chastises them. And if, you know, at a certain point, he didn't feel like he was receiving enough money, he's out here calling the people who support him, who have sent in money, he's calling them trifling ass black people. So this timestamp for this particular video, this video is Dr. Umar Johnson, and then it says war on black boys. I already played some clips already. This timestamp is at the 1 minute and 21 second, no, excuse me, 1 hour, 21 minutes and 54 second mark. So let's take a listen here. Here we go.
Donating like they done.
You gave me $25 damn and you think you free now. We got to raise $2 million. Your ass ain't done. I better get some more and some more and some more and some more until we hit the goal, brothers and sisters. That's the way we're going to have to do this. We also want to teach our children African spirituality. African spirituality. It's not a religious school. We're not into that. I don't want the kids coming back home to you because you part of the problem. You got Willie Lynch all in your system. White Jesus on the wall. Teaching your kids to be multicultural, daughter looking like Beyonce, a head full of blonde ass weed. What the hell I want her coming back home to you for? She stay with me and the boys stay with me.
Okay, you see how he paused right there? Very concerning. Okay, that was the end of his sentence. And then what he does is after he finishes his sentence, he actually starts drinking. And then as he's drinking the water, I think he realizes what he just said, and then he tries to cover it up. And here it is what he says after that.
In the dorms.
Okay, so now it's in the dorms. So he went from they're going to come and stay with me to they're going to come and stay with me in the dorms. Now, I'm not trying to suggest anything. What I'm saying is that is concerning. And based upon everything else that we've talked about in terms of Umar's shenanigans with this particular school scam, I think that if you put all these pieces together, people, you need to be very careful, buyer beware. Okay, and I think that that's a fair assessment. I have children. I have 5 children, and I want to keep them safe no matter what. And there is absolutely no way that I would ever have my children in this man's presence. Never. Would not happen. Never. You guys need to be careful. All y'all, be careful. Okay? All right, so I want to mention too, he did bring up the blonde weave and Beyonce. One of the things is the blonde weave thing, and he's talked a lot about that. And he's also just talked about weave and black women having weave. And there's a lot of men who have hatred towards black women, and that's one of the issues that they tend to focus on is this weave issue. I've talked about that a lot. I've talked about the projection. It's really a projection of one's own insecurities. In the case of Umar Johnson, the levels of hypocrisy, because later after this particular lecture, not too long after this too, I believe, he was exposed for dealing with a stripper, and then pictures come out and this stripper has weave and she has blonde weave. Isn't that interesting? The other thing too, I just want to mention before we close out is that he's talking to black parents, and he's telling black parents, look, I don't want them coming home to you, as if he is in control of the black parents' children. There's something that is deeply troubling about that. For a man to sit up there and somehow feel as if he is an authority over somebody else's children, to the point where he can tell parents whether or not those children can come home to those parents. And then he goes so far as to say, those children are going to stay with me. And that's the end of the sentence. And then he starts drinking water. And while he's drinking water, he figures that he probably clicks in his mind, oh, wait a minute. And then he says, in the dorms. All right, I'm going to play that one more time just so that you guys can hear it from beginning to end, and then we'll be done. All right, here we go.
NAACP invited me down there because they have a school for sale, Chamberlain Hunt White Military Academy. Nice school too. It's not as big as St. Paul's, but it'll work. So I'm just hoping y'all help me raise this $2 million before somebody buy them schools. That's what I'm hoping. Okay? So if you need the information to mail in a check or donate, $2 million, your ass ain't done. Donate it like they done. You gave me $25 damn and you think you free now. We got to raise $2 million. Your ass ain't done. I better get some more and some more and some more and some more until we hit the goal, brothers and sisters. That's the way we're going to have to do this. We also want to teach our children African spirituality. African spirituality. It's not a religious school. We're not into that. I don't want the kids coming back home to you because you part of the problem. You got Willie Lynch all in your system. White Jesus on the wall, teaching your kids to be multicultural, daughter looking like Beyonce, a head full of blonde ass weed. What the hell I want her coming back home to you for? She stay with me and the boys stay with me in the dorms. If any of you want to work at the school, send me your resume. We've already received over 600, but that's not enough because we need schools everywhere. We need to have a Pan-African school district everywhere black folks are. We need a FDMG, ADAG. So send me your resume. You can email your resumes to fdmgresumes@gmail.com. And you don't have to be a school teacher to work. We need security guards, we need nurses, we need counselors, we need house parents that live with the children. We need bus drivers, we need maintenance, we need engineers, we need painters, we need barber and hairstylists, natural hairstylists. I don't need no perm juice. It ain't gonna be none of that. Okay? So if you want to work at the school, send me your resume. Don't wait till the last minute because the school will be a reality.
And there you have it. I think that last statement is it's apropos for us to end on that. The school is going to be a reality. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we can say that the unicorn is a reality. We can say that Santa Claus is a reality. We can say that the pink elephant that likes to eat chocolate, fruitcake is going to be a reality too. But time always tells the truth. And the point of this is I want you guys to remember that this goes back all the way back to 2010. And there it is again, Umar Johnson. This was a Facebook post, I believe, and it says promises in 2010 to begin laying the groundwork for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Pan-African School for Black Boys, specializing in learning disabilities and disruptive behavior disorders. This will be a private school, and yes, you will pay in order for your son to attend. Grand opening. What does it say? The grand opening. What does it say? The grand opening. What does it say? 9/11/2013. An unfulfilled promise is a lie. And whether you say, okay, 2013, September 11, 2013, or you flip it, and then maybe you say, you know, it's not open yet. Here we are in 2014. No, FDMG is not open yet, but we need to raise $200 million ASAP. I'm currently the principal of a public school. What public school? Shortly after that, in 2014, September 6th, due to my obligations as principal, I will be unable to attend the November Haiti trip scheduled for. So you're a principal then, yes? Where's this school? What school is this? What school are you a principal at exactly? But here we are in 2018. I resigned this morning from the school at which I've served, I've served as certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years. So you've been serving at a school as a certified school psychologist for nearly 10 years, and you posted this in 2018, but you also said in 2014 that you are currently a principal of a public school. How are you able to do the same thing at the same time, fulfill both of these positions at the same time, all the while traveling the United States of America and beyond to collect money and donations for a school that does not exist? And this goes back to 2010. And then here we are in 2018, January 12th. We've played clips from Umar's own mouth where he says he's going to open up a school in 2015. He says he's going to open up a school in 2017. He also says he's going to have a definite school location January 1st, 2018. I just got to get those keys. What happened with that? No follow-up. Umar Johnson says the school will open in 2018. What happened with that? Because he gave a specific date and that date has already passed. No follow-up. Umar Johnson says school to open 2018, 2019, or it may be delayed until, you see what has happened here, ladies and gentlemen? Umar Johnson says he thinks he found a school and will be making a deposit. And this was a recent video. Okay, today, by the way, is November 4th, 2018. No follow-up. What happened with that? Umar Johnson says the school will open in 2019. Umar Johnson will have school location January 1st, 2019. Here are some links for you all. I'm going to read these, and then these are all listed too inside. I'm going to read the titles, but all these are listed inside the description. I guarantee you some of these particular videos, they're going to get pulled off of the internet, but I've already talked about them here. Umar Johnson says that if he purchases St. Paul's College, then the school will open in 2015. Umar Johnson promises that his school will be open in 2017. Umar Johnson promises that his school, his school will open in 2018. Umar Johnson promises the school will open in 2018 and 2019. Umar Johnson promises the school will be open in 2019. Umar Johnson verbally abusing his supporters. 2014, Umar's original fundraising video. Okay, that's where he was. You guys need to check that out. And you also need to check out this one right here, the 2014 footage of Umar talking about purchasing St. Paul's College. 2017, Umar talks about his school search and his plans to build multiple schools. This video right here has actually been purged since I actually posted this, since I actually downloaded this. Interesting. 2017, Umar Johnson promises that the school location will be announced on January 1st, 2018. Here's one leak, but there's also another one. 2018, Umar Johnson says he will put a bid in for a school, but he never does. No follow-up whatsoever. And then, of course, as I promised, I just want to say here, I want to promote two YouTubers, two YouTube pages. And the first one, of course, is Anti-Afro Svengali. She's been at the forefront of putting out information to help people to keep themselves safe from this type of con artistry, if you will. These scams and these schemers and the manipulators. And in the case of Umar Johnson, a habitual liar who has scammed Black people out of upwards to $1 million. But what we can say without speculation, based upon what he has said, is $750,000. Okay, so I want everyone, make sure you get on over to Anti-Afro Svengali's page and watch as many of those videos as you can. I've watched all of them from the beginning, and I've been following her work from the very beginning. And there's a lot more information, far more information than what I've shared on her YouTube page concerning Umar Johnson. It gets really, really deep. It gets really, really deep, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have no idea. So I want to encourage you all to check out Anti-Afro Svengali when you can. All right. And I also want to thank Anti-Afro Svengali for all of her hard work and also her courage. She's one of the most courageous people I've seen on the internet. And I've been on the internet for a long time. All right. So thank you so much for your service. She's like, in essence, she's trying to help the public to be safe from these types of frauds and scammers. The other YouTuber, and this is someone I just came across, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. Her name is Dr. Tracy McCarthy, and she has a fascinating video. And I haven't checked out her other work, but I can vouch for this one for sure. And it's titled Self-Destruction, Rising Black Cyber Hate. And the reason why this video is important for a lot of different reasons. I mean, it's really, really deep, but all that we've talked about here in terms of Umar's behavior is outlined inside of this important YouTube video. Okay, so if you've watched this full video and then you head on over to Anti-Afro Svengali, you get more information. Anti-Afro Svengali, you get more information. But then if you go over to Dr. Tracy McCarthy's YouTube page and check out this very specific video, Self-Destruction, Rising Black Cyber Hate, this will add even more understanding as to this type of fraudulent behavior and why it's taking place. But then also this issue of the rising Black cyber hate. Umar Johnson, how he talks about Black people, how he talks to Black people, his sense of entitlement, the abusive language, calling people names, the derogatory names, the racial epithets, these types of things. This is all part of the rising Black cyber hate. Buyer beware. All right. Okay, I think I shared everything that I want to share inside this particular video. There's one other thing I want to say. I don't know if there's any questions too inside the chat room you guys want to ask real quick. I can answer those, but I want to say something else. This particular video should be covered under fair use. Okay, under the premise of criticism, right? And I'm just taking segments and playing them, and then, but more than likely, Umar Johnson, if he happens to see this, or someone who's associated, we will probably try to get this particular video taken off of YouTube. The way that I look at this, and I just want to be clear with you all, is what I'm going to do is I'm going to download it, and I will have it available. Okay. And the other thing is, I want to encourage anyone. You're more than welcome to take this particular video and download it and upload it wherever you want to. You're more than welcome to do that. Okay. All right. I just want to say that just in case. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the live stream today. I didn't expect it to be this long, but it turned out to be this long, and that's okay. My name is Lenon Honor. My YouTube page is Lenon Honor. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure that you subscribe, okay? And there's also a bell button. Hit that bell button, and that'll give you alerts to when more things are coming up here. Let me do this. I'm sorry, I forgot I can actually. Oh, and this is the full title of the piece: Umar Johnson School Scam Part 1. There'll be other ones too as things kind of progress here. And then an unfulfilled promise is a lie. I want you all to remember that we can only make promises for so long. At a certain point, we have to fulfill those promises. And if we decide not to do that, or if we're unable to do that, and we continue to perpetuate the fraud, then we're going to pay a price. We're going to pay a price. And Umar Johnson, he is paying a price. We may not see it like on the outside per se, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Trust me, that he has been dealing with, and he's dealing with, and he has dealt with. And at a certain point, everything catches up with everybody. And at a certain point, it will catch up with him, and justice will be served. You know, it's inevitable. That's how the universe works. What you put out there, it comes back to you one way or another. One of the questions, and this will be it. What do you think is going to make Umar stop doing what he's doing? I don't think Umar can stop. I think the only thing that can stop, and the reason why is because it's part of his character. It is. He was raised this way. Okay. His father has a lot to do with this. He was raised this way. It's part of his psychological makeup. I don't think that he can stop. But I think he's so deep into this, and I mean, there's also delusions. I don't think he thinks there's anything wrong with what he's doing at this point. You can't perpetuate this level of fraud for this long and take advantage of so many people. I mean, there was people where he scammed people in Canada recently, and he was supposed to come to speak. They sent them a deposit, and he decided not to come out. And there's a whole big fiasco, and he didn't even return the money. What kind of man does something like that? And he's done that, and he's burnt so many different people. He's burnt so many different bridges. It's part of his psychological makeup. It's part of his character. So what I'm saying is, no, I don't think that he will stop on his own volition. But what will happen is at a certain point, the law will catch up with him, and legal agencies will catch up with him. And when those legal agencies catch up with him, he will have no choice but to stop. And I'm going to say this, the last thing. If he was doing this to white people, and he was scamming and scheming white people for what now, at least 8 years, and taking money and you know, misappropriating funds, obviously, if you're selling pillows and doing all this scamming and scheming and you know, berating people as he berates black people and does that towards white people, just look at it how he talked with Sadie. I'm thinking about doing a video, maybe part 2, where we just dissect that particular fiasco. But if he's willing to behave that way for this this extended period of time, and he's able to, and he did this towards white folk, he would have already been in jail. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. I want to thank everyone. Oh, and let me do this. I'm sorry.